How to get your life together when you feel hopelessly behind. Hello and welcome to Audio Waves. If you have ever scrolled through social media and felt a pit in your stomach, if you have ever heard about a friend's promotion, engagement, or new house and thought, what am I even doing? Then this is for you. This is not another book that will tell you to just work harder or wake up at 5 a.m. This is a book for those of us who feel like we are standing still while the world sprints past. It is for when the advice you hear just does not seem to connect with the feeling of being hopelessly, fundamentally behind. We are not going to talk about catching up. The idea that life is a single race that you can be behind in is the very illusion we are here to dismantle. Instead, we are going to talk about how to start your race on your track from right where you are standing. So take a deep breath. You are not broken and you are not alone. Let's get your life together, not by someone else's standards, but by yours. Chapter 1. The Great Comparison Trap. You are lying in bed. The room is dark, except for the cool white light of the phone in your hand. Your thumb moves almost on its own. A flick upwards, and another, and another. You see a picture of a friend from college. She is standing on a balcony overlooking the ocean in a place with a name you can't quite pronounce. The caption reads, "Living the Dream." You feel a small, sharp pang in your chest. It is a familiar feeling. You keep scrolling. You see a different acquaintance has just announced their startup secured its first round of funding. The picture is of them, smiling and confident, standing with a group of equally successful-looking people. The pang in your chest gets a little deeper. Then you see it, an engagement announcement. A close friend is getting married. There is a picture of a sparkling ring on a perfectly manicured hand. There are dozens of comments underneath saying, "Congratulations," and "I'm so happy for you." You should be happy for them. A part of you is. But the dominant feeling is not happiness. It is a heavy, sinking feeling. A voice in your head, a quiet and cruel whisper, asks a simple question. What are you doing with your life? Everyone else seems to be moving forward. They are getting promotions. They are falling in love. They are traveling the world. They are building businesses. Their lives are unfolding in a beautiful, linear progression. And you are here, in the dark, staring at a screen, feeling like you are being left behind in the dust. This feeling is the reason we are starting here. It is the single greatest poison to our peace and the most powerful anchor holding us back. It is the great comparison trap. And the first step to getting your life together is to learn how to dismantle it, piece by piece. The first thing we must understand is a simple but profound truth. You are comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. Let us revisit those images on your phone screen. Let's look past the perfect filters and the carefully chosen captions. That friend on the balcony in that exotic location, she didn't post a picture of the screaming argument she had with her partner the night before. An argument born from the stress of spending money they didn't really have for this very trip. She didn't show the credit card statement that is waiting for her back home, the one that makes her feel sick to her stomach every time she thinks about it. She didn't capture the moment of profound loneliness she felt while her partner was asleep, staring out at that beautiful ocean and feeling completely empty. She posted the one moment of staged perfection, the highlight. You, however, are intimately familiar with your own reality. You know the worries. You know the debts, you know the arguments, you know the loneliness. You are comparing her single best moment to your entire complex, messy reality. It is an unwinnable game. It is like comparing a movie trailer to the full, uncut, unedited footage of your own life. Now think about your acquaintance with the startup. The LinkedIn post radiated success. It was a beacon of ambition and achievement. What that post didn't show was the reality of the past year. It didn't show him sleeping on a couch in the office because he couldn't afford rent and a workspace. It didn't show the crippling anxiety that kept him awake at night, worried that his idea wasn't good enough, that he would let his investors down. It didn't show the relationships that have withered because he has had no time or energy for anyone but his work. It didn't show that he has been living on cheap takeaway food and caffeine, and his body is starting to protest. He posted the victory. He did not post the thousands of small, painful battles that led to it. You only see the summit. You don't see the treacherous, exhausting climb. You are comparing your daily grind, your normal Tuesday, to his single greatest professional achievement to date. Again, it is a rigged game designed to make you feel inadequate. And what about the engagement announcement? That sparkling ring is beautiful. The couple looks ecstatic, and they probably are in that moment. But that picture doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't tell the story of the years of difficult compromises. It doesn't show the fights they had about money, about family, about their future. It doesn't reveal the private doubts each of them has had along the way, wondering if this was truly the right person for them. It doesn't capture the immense pressure they now feel to plan a perfect wedding and after that, live a perfect life. They have shared the happy ending of one chapter. You are comparing it to the messy, uncertain middle of your own story. This is the fundamental illusion of the comparison trap. It presents a world of polished, curated successes and hides the universal truths of struggle, doubt, and failure. You are not falling behind. You are just seeing a distorted version of reality. Your life is not less than theirs. You are simply more aware of your own complexities. You must burn this into your mind. What you see online is not real life. It is a performance. It is advertising. Everyone is advertising the best version of themselves. So why does it affect us so deeply? Why can't we just logically dismiss it? The answer lies in our own brains. Our brains are, in many ways, running on very old software. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors lived in small, tight-knit tribes of maybe 50 to 150 people. In that environment, social comparison was a vital survival tool. You needed to know where you stood in the group. Who was the best hunter? Who was the best caregiver? Who was a reliable ally? Comparing yourself to the handful of people in your tribe helped you understand your role, improve your skills, and ensure your survival. Your brain is wired to ask, how am I doing relative to others? It is a deeply ingrained instinct. The problem is that this ancient software is now trying to operate in a completely new world. You are no longer comparing yourself to 150 people in your village. You are connected to billions of people through the internet. Your brain isn't just comparing you to the best hunter in the tribe anymore. It's comparing you to the most beautiful people in the world, the wealthiest people in the world, the most athletic, creative, and seemingly perfect people in the world. Your brain, with its small tribe wiring, cannot cope with this onslaught of data. It sees thousands of perfect lives and concludes that you are the only one who is failing. It's a system overload. This is not a personal weakness. It is a biological mismatch. Furthermore, social media platforms are not neutral. They are businesses designed to capture and hold your attention, and they do this by manipulating your brain's reward system. Every time you see a like, a comment, or a new follower, your brain releases a tiny hit of a chemical called dopamine. This is the same chemical involved in pleasure, motivation, and addiction. It feels good. It is the same pleasure hit you get from eating a delicious meal or receiving a compliment. The platforms are designed to be like a slot machine. You pull the lever by flicking your thumb and refreshing the feed, hoping for a reward. Sometimes you get one, sometimes you don't. This intermittent reward schedule is incredibly addictive. So you keep scrolling, chasing that next little hit of dopamine. All the while you are feeding your brain an endless stream of curated perfection from others, which triggers your ancient comparison instinct, which makes you feel terrible about your own life. It is a vicious cycle. You feel bad, so you seek a distraction and a small dopamine hit on your phone, which exposes you to more comparison triggers, which makes you feel even worse. You are trapped. The first step to breaking this trap is simply seeing it for what it is, a biological instinct being exploited by a technological system. It is not your fault. Now, let's talk about the other invisible force at play here. The timeline myth. Society has an unwritten script, a silent expectation of what you should achieve and by when. It sounds something like this. You should graduate from college by 22. You should have a clear career path by 25. You should be in a serious committed relationship by 28. You should be married by 30. You should buy a house by 35. You should have children before you turn 40. This timeline is woven into the fabric of our culture. We see it in movies, we hear it from our relatives at family gatherings. We absorb it through osmosis. And when our own life doesn't match this rigid schedule, we feel a profound sense of panic. We feel like we have failed a critical test. We feel hopelessly behind schedule. But here is the truth. This timeline is a ghost. It is a relic from a completely different economic and social era, primarily the post-World War II boom of the mid-20th century. It was a time of greater stability, lower housing costs, and more defined social roles. That world no longer exists. The economy has changed. The nature of work has changed. Our understanding of relationships and family has changed. To judge yourself by the standards of your grandparents' generation is like trying to navigate a modern city using a map from 1950. The streets have changed. The landmarks are gone. The map is useless. Let's dismantle this timeline, one milestone at a time. The idea of having your career figured out by 25 is now the exception, not the rule. People change careers multiple times in their lives. The gig economy is real. Lifelong learning is a necessity. It is far more valuable to spend your 20s exploring, experimenting, and discovering what you truly want than to lock yourself into a path that makes you miserable. Many of the most successful people in the world found their true calling later in life. Vera Wang didn't design her first dress until she was 40. Julia Child wrote her first cookbook at 50. Colonel Sanders franchised KFC when he was 62. Your life is not a sprint to a finish line at 25. It is a long-distance marathon of discovery. The pressure to be married by 30 is equally outdated. People are taking longer to find the right partner, and that is a good thing. They are building their own lives first. They are ensuring they are entering a partnership as a whole person, not as someone looking for another half to complete them. The divorce rates of previous generations who rushed into marriage should be a cautionary tale, not a blueprint. Your relationship status is not a measure of your worth. A happy, single life is infinitely better than a miserable, coupled one. And the pressure to own a home by a certain age. In many parts of the world, this is now a financial fantasy for young people. Stagnant wages and skyrocketing property prices have made this milestone inaccessible for millions. Tying your sense of self-worth and adulthood to something that is largely dictated by broad economic forces beyond your control is a recipe for perpetual frustration. Your worth is not determined by whether you pay a landlord or a bank. It is determined by your character, your kindness, and your integrity. You are a whole and complete adult whether you rent an apartment or own a mansion. So, when you feel that panic of being behind, ask yourself this: behind who? Behind what? You are behind a fictional timeline. You are behind a ghost. The only timeline that matters is your own. Your life will unfold in its own unique and unpredictable way, and that is not a flaw. It is a feature. Your path is not supposed to look like anyone else's. The most interesting, vibrant, and wise people are often those who have wandered off the beaten path and created a timeline that was entirely their own. You have permission to do the same. You are not behind. You are on your own path. Repeat that to yourself. My life is not a race against others. My timeline is my own. This is your first and most important mantra. Now we move from understanding to action. It is not enough to know the trap exists. We must learn how to actively disarm it. This is how you start taking your power back. We will do this through a series of concrete, manageable steps. This is the how. The first step is a 1-week comparison detox. For the next 7 days, your only goal is to become a detective of your own mind. You will need a small notebook or the Notes app on your phone. Every single time you feel that familiar pang of comparison, you will stop and make a note. Do not judge it. Do not try to suppress it. Simply observe it. Write down 3 things. 1. What triggered it? Was it an Instagram post, a LinkedIn update, a conversation with a friend? Be specific. 2. Who was the person involved? An old friend, a celebrity, a stranger? 3. What was the exact feeling? Was it envy, inadequacy, sadness, panic, or something else? Try to name the emotion. That is it. That is all you have to do for 7 days. This act of conscious observation does something magical. It creates a space between the trigger and your emotional reaction. It takes you from being a passenger in your own emotional storm to being the observer watching it from the shore. You will likely be shocked at how many times a day you are subconsciously comparing yourself to others. Seeing it all written down in one place will make it impossible to ignore how much of your precious mental and emotional energy this habit is costing you. This is the first step to freedom. Awareness. The second step is the digital cure it. At the end of your one-week detox, you will review your list of triggers. You will likely see a pattern. The same people or types of accounts are probably showing up again and again. Now it is time to take control of your information diet. Go to your social media apps. For every account that consistently made you feel worse about yourself, you have a choice. The most powerful choice is to unfollow. This is not a mean or aggressive act. It is an act of profound self-care. You are not responsible for how they will interpret it. You are responsible for protecting your own peace. If unfollowing feels too drastic, perhaps because it is a close friend or family member, use the mute function. Mute their posts, mute their stories. They will never know. But you will have created a sanctuary for your own mind. You are the curator of your own mental museum. Do you want it to be filled with exhibits that make you feel small and worthless? Or do you want it to be filled with art that inspires you, knowledge that expands you, and humor that uplifts you? The choice is yours. Be ruthless in your curation. Your mental health is more important than anyone's social media feed. The third step is to replace and reclaim. You have now created a void. You have removed the sources of negativity. Now you must intentionally fill that space with positivity. Actively seek out and follow accounts that align with the person you want to become. Follow artists, writers, scientists, and teachers. Follow accounts about hobbies you are interested in, like hiking, cooking, or learning a new language. Follow comedians who make you laugh. Follow animal rescue pages. Flood your feed with so much genuine interest, inspiration, and joy that there is no room left for comparison. You are transforming your phone from a weapon you use against yourself into a tool you use for your own growth and well-being. This is a powerful shift. You are reclaiming the technology for your own benefit. The fourth and final step is a daily practice called the gratitude redirect. This is your emergency brake for when the feeling of comparison inevitably sneaks back in. The moment you feel that pang, that sinking feeling of, I am not enough, you must immediately stop and do one thing. Force yourself to name, either out loud or in your head, 3 specific things in your own life that you are grateful for right now. They do not have to be big things. It could be, I am grateful for this warm cup of coffee. I am grateful for the comfortable chair I am sitting in. I am grateful that my pet is healthy. What this does is short-circuit the comparison loop. Your brain cannot simultaneously focus on what it lacks and what it has. It is a neurological impossibility. By consciously shifting your focus to gratitude, you are actively rewiring your brain. You are strengthening the neural pathways of contentment and weakening the pathways of envy. Over time, this becomes automatic. You will find that the comparison pangs become less frequent and less intense. They lose their power over you. This chapter is your foundation. Escaping the comparison trap is the prerequisite for all the work that follows. You cannot build a new life on a foundation of inadequacy. You cannot move forward if you are constantly looking over your shoulder at where everyone else is. Your life is your own. Your journey is unique. The world does not need a cheap copy of someone else's life. It needs the full, authentic, original version of you. It is time to stop looking at their map and start drawing your own. You have the power to do this. You have the tools. The journey starts now, not when you have caught up, but right here in this moment. By choosing to look at your own life, your own path, and your own feet on the ground. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. At the beginning. Chapter 2. Your starting point is not a weakness. Imagine you are standing in the middle of a vast, unfamiliar city. You are lost. You want to get to a specific destination, a beautiful park on the other side of town. You pull out a map. The map is detailed and perfect. It shows every street, every landmark, and the precise location of the park you want to reach. But there is one crucial piece of information missing. There is no little red pin that says you are here. Without knowing your starting point, The map is useless. You can stare at it for hours, you can see exactly where you want to go, but you have no idea which direction to turn. You are paralyzed. This feeling of being lost and paralyzed is exactly what happens when we try to change our lives without first having the courage to pinpoint our exact location. We are so ashamed of where we are, so desperate to be somewhere else, that we refuse to look at our own feet, and so we remain stuck. The second great task in getting your life together is to bravely and gently place that pin on your own map. It is about acknowledging your starting point, not as a source of shame, but as the single most critical piece of data you need to begin your journey. Your starting point is not a weakness. It is your power. It is your ground zero. It is the only place from which you can begin to build. The biggest obstacle to this process is a single powerful emotion: shame. It is vital that we understand the difference between shame and its close cousin, guilt. Guilt says, "I did something bad." Shame says, "I am bad." Guilt is about an action. Shame is about your identity. If you have a lot of credit card debt, guilt might say, "I made some poor financial choices." Shame whispers, "I am a failure. I am irresponsible. I am a mess." If you are unhappy in your job, guilt might say, "I have not been proactive about finding a new role." Shame whispers, "I am lazy. I am unambitious. I am not good enough." Guilt can be a motivator for change. Shame is a paralytic. It makes you want to hide. It makes you want to pretend the problem doesn't exist. Think about the person with debt. Shame makes them afraid to open their mail. They see an envelope from the bank and their heart starts to race. They feel a hot flush of anxiety. So they throw the unopened letter onto a pile with all the others. They are avoiding the data because they are afraid it will confirm their deepest fear, that they are fundamentally flawed. But this avoidance only makes the problem worse. The interest accumulates. The late fees pile up. The problem grows larger and more terrifying in the darkness of avoidance. The shame creates a cycle of paralysis. The more paralyzed they are, the worse the problem gets and the more shame they feel. It is a downward spiral. This is what shame does in all areas of our lives. It keeps us from looking at the truth because we have fused our self-worth with our circumstances. To admit that our finances are a mess, or our health is poor, or our career is stalled, feels like admitting that we, as a person, are a mess. This is the lie we must dismantle. Your circumstances are not your character. Your bank balance is not your soul. Your job title is not your identity. They are simply data points on your map, and the only way to get unlost is to look at them. So how do we do this? We do it through a process called the gentle inventory. Notice the word gentle. This is not an exercise in self-flagellation. This is not about making a list of all your flaws so you can beat yourself up. This is a calm, neutral, and compassionate process of data collection. It is like a scientist observing a specimen under a microscope. The scientist does not judge the specimen. She simply observes and records the facts. You are going to become the scientist of your own life. For this exercise, you will need a piece of paper and a pen. We're going to look at 4 key areas of life. For each area, the goal is to write down the simple, objective facts. Data, not drama. The first area is finances. This is often the hardest one because it is so deeply tied to our sense of security and success. Take a deep breath. Open your banking app. Write down the current balance in your primary checking and savings accounts. Do not judge the number, just write it down. Next, open your credit card statements. Write down the total amount of debt you have. Again, it is just a number. It is a piece of data. It is not a moral failing. Write down your approximate monthly income and your essential monthly expenses, like rent, utilities, and groceries. The goal here is to get a clear, factual snapshot of your financial reality. This is your financial "you are here" pin. For many, this is the first time they have ever seen all the numbers in one place. It can be scary, but it is also empowering. The unknown monster in the closet is always scarier than the one you can see in the light. Now you can see it. The second area is career and work. We spend a huge portion of our lives at work, so it is crucial to know where we stand. Ask yourself these questions and write down the answers. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being completely miserable and 10 being deeply fulfilled, how do you rate your current job? What are the specific tasks or parts of your job that give you energy? What are the specific tasks that drain your energy? Do you feel you are learning and growing? Are you fairly compensated for the work you do? Again, be a neutral observer. The answer is not, I hate my job. The answer is, I rate my job a 4 out of 10. I feel drained by administrative tasks, but energized when I get to collaborate on creative projects. This is useful data. It gives you clues about what you need more of and what you need less of in your professional life. The third area is health and well-being. This includes both your physical and mental health. Let's collect some data. On average, how many hours of sleep do you get per night? How many times a week do you engage in at least 20 minutes of physical activity? This could be a walk, a gym session, or stretching. What does your typical day of eating look like? Be honest and non-judgmental. Maybe it is mostly processed foods. Maybe it is balanced and healthy. Just write it down. Now for your mental health. How often do you feel anxious or overwhelmed? What are your current strategies for managing stress? Do you have any practices like journaling, meditation, or talking to a friend? How much time do you spend on activities that are purely for rest and joy? The goal is to see your health not as a series of failures like, I don't exercise enough, but as a system with inputs and outputs. The data will show you where the system is out of balance. The fourth and final area is relationships and community. Humans are social creatures. The quality of our connections is a powerful indicator of our overall well-being. Think about the key people in your life. Your family, your friends, your partner. For each significant relationship, ask yourself, does this connection generally energize me or drain me? This is not about labeling people as good or bad. It is about understanding the dynamics of your interactions. Beyond that, ask yourself, do I feel a sense of belonging to a community? This could be a hobby group, a sports team, a religious institution, or a group of neighborhood friends. Loneliness is a major source of feeling stuck. So, assessing your level of connection is a critical data point. Once you have gone through these 4 areas, you will have a single sheet of paper. This paper is your map. It is your "you are here." Look at it. This is your starting point. It is not good or bad. It simply is. This single sheet of paper holds more power than any motivational quote or vague aspiration. Because it is real. It is your truth. And you cannot build a new future on a foundation of denial. You build it on truth. Now, for the first time, when you think about where you want to go, you know exactly where you are starting from. You can finally start to plot a course. This act of facing your reality is made possible by a remarkable property of your brain. This property is called neuroplasticity. For a long time, scientists believed that the adult brain was fixed and unchangeable, that by the time you reached adulthood, your personality, your habits, and your intelligence were set in stone. We now know this is completely false. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Think of your brain as a vast field of snow. Every time you have a thought, perform an action, or feel an emotion, you create a path in that snow. When you repeat that thought or action, the path gets a little deeper. Your long-standing habits, like your tendency to procrastinate or your negative self-talk, are like deep, well-worn trenches in the snow. It is easy for your thoughts to fall into these trenches. It feels automatic. But neuroplasticity means that you can always create new paths. The first time you choose a new response, it is like taking the first difficult step in fresh, deep snow. It takes effort. It feels unnatural. But if you walk that same new path tomorrow and the next day and the day after that, the path will become more defined. Eventually, it will become a new deep trench, a new automatic habit. What does this mean for you and your gentle inventory? It means that your starting point is not a life sentence. It is just the current state of the paths in your brain. The financial habits that led to your debt are just a set of well-worn neural pathways. Your tendency to feel anxious is another set of pathways. Your sheet of paper is a snapshot of your brain's current wiring. But it is not permanent. Every single small choice you make from this moment forward can begin to forge a new path. By choosing to check your bank account instead of avoiding it, you are building a new path of financial awareness. By choosing to go for a 5-minute walk instead of sitting on the couch, You are building a new path of physical health. Your brain is not fixed. It is malleable. It is waiting for your instructions. Your past does not have to dictate your future. You have the power right now to start building a new brain and a new life. This scientific fact should fill you with an incredible sense of hope and agency. You are not broken. You are buildable. To fight the shame that might arise during this process, we need to cultivate a specific skill. The skill is self-compassion. Dr. Kristin Neff, a leading researcher on this topic, defines self-compassion as having 3 core components. We can use these as our tools to make the gentle inventory a truly gentle process. The first component is self-kindness. This means treating yourself with the same care and understanding that you would offer to a good friend. If your friend came to you full of shame about their debt, what would you say to them? You would not say, "You are a failure. You are a mess." You would say, "That sounds really hard. It took a lot of courage to face that. Let's figure out a small step we can take together." You must learn to talk to yourself in that same supportive voice. When you look at your inventory, your inner voice should be one of kindness, not criticism. The second component is a sense of common humanity. This is the recognition that suffering and personal imperfection are a shared part of the human experience. When you are stuck in shame, you feel incredibly isolated. You feel like you are the only one in the world who is this messy. Common humanity is the antidote to this isolation. It is the understanding that everyone struggles, everyone has insecurities, everyone has made mistakes. Your friend with the perfect life on Instagram has their own secret struggles. The successful CEO has their own fears and failures. You are not alone in your imperfection. To be imperfect is to be human. When you look at your starting point, remind yourself of this. This is hard, but it is a human struggle. I am not alone in this. The third component is mindfulness. This is the ability to observe your thoughts and feelings without over-identifying with them. It is holding your pain in a balanced and aware way. It is the difference between saying "I am sad" and "I am feeling sadness." In the first statement, you are your sadness. In the second, you are the observer of your sadness. Mindfulness allows you to look at the data on your inventory sheet without letting it consume you. You can see the number on your credit card statement and acknowledge the feeling of anxiety that arises without becoming the anxiety itself. You can say, "I am noticing a feeling of fear right now," and then let it pass like a cloud in the sky. Now for the practical application, the how. We will formalize the gentle inventory with a powerful exercise called the one-sheet audit. Find a time and place where you will not be disturbed for at least 30 minutes. Put your phone on silent. Get out that single piece of paper and a pen. At the top of the paper, write, "My starting point, data, not drama." Then create the 4 sections: finances, career, health, and relationships. Systematically go through and write down the objective facts you gathered earlier. Use numbers and simple declarative sentences. My savings account has X dollars. I work 45 hours per week. I sleep an average of 6 hours per night. I feel energized by my friend Sarah and drained by my relative John. Fill the page with the simple truth of your current reality. When you are finished, read it over one time. Take a deep breath. And now comes the most important part of the ritual. You are going to release it. Fold the paper up. You have several options, and you should choose the one that feels most meaningful to you. You can tuck it into a drawer or a book. This symbolizes that the past is documented and acknowledged, and can now be put away as you move forward. Or you can do something more cathartic. You can take the piece of paper outside to a safe place and burn it. As you watch the paper turn to ash, imagine you are releasing the shame and judgment associated with it. You are not destroying the facts. You are destroying the negative emotional charge attached to them. You have faced the truth. You have honored it. And now you are free from it. The purpose of the audit is not to dwell on the past. It is to give you a clear, solid platform from which to launch into your future. As a companion to this exercise, you can try another. The forgiveness letter. On a separate piece of paper, write a letter to your past self, the self who made the choices that led you to this starting point. Write to the you of 5 years ago, or 1 year ago. Address that person with kindness and compassion. Acknowledge that they were doing the best they could with the knowledge, skills, and emotional resources they had at the time. Forgive them for the mistakes. Forgive them for the avoidance. Forgive them for not knowing what you know now. End the letter by thanking them for getting you this far, for surviving, and for bringing you to this moment of new awareness. You do not have to send this letter. You do not have to show it to anyone. The power is in the act of writing it. It is an act of radical self-acceptance. It is you in the present moment, making peace with your own history. This chapter may feel like the hardest work. Facing the truth is never easy, but it is the most necessary. You cannot heal what you do not reveal. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. By bravely and compassionately identifying your starting point, you have done something most people will never do. You have taken off the blindfold. You have stopped wandering in the dark. You have placed the "You are here" pin on your map. Your starting point is not a sign of your failure. It is a testament to your courage. It is the launch pad for the rest of your life. The ground beneath your feet may not be where you want it to be, but for the first time, it is solid. And from solid ground, you can build anything. You can go anywhere. Your journey does not begin when you reach your destination. It begins now. With this truth, with this acceptance, with this power. Chapter 3. Redefining the win. What does together mean to you? You have done the brave work. You have stood in the unfamiliar city of your own life, and, with unflinching honesty, you have placed the pin on the map. You have said, "Here I am." You have faced your starting point without shame. This is a monumental achievement. But a map with a starting point is still only half useful. A journey requires not just a beginning, but a destination. And this is where so many of us get lost all over again. We spend our lives sailing with incredible determination and speed, only to realize, late in the journey, that we are headed towards a port we never wanted to visit. We are navigating using someone else's coordinates. We have been taught to chase a version of success, a definition of a life put together, that was handed to us, not born from within us. Before you can take a single step forward, you must first define your own personal North Star. You must answer the most important question of all. What does a win actually mean to you? Imagine you are the captain of a ship. Since you were young, you have been given a set of coordinates by your parents, your teachers, and your culture. The coordinates lead to a place called the good life. The charts tell you it is a bustling port city with tall, impressive buildings called promotions, beautiful estates called home ownership, and exclusive clubs called marriage and family. Everyone agrees that this is the best port to sail to. So you set your course, you work hard, you battle storms, you trim your sails perfectly, you push your crew, which is really just yourself, to the point of exhaustion. You are a good captain, you're making excellent time. Along the way, you look through your telescope at other ships. They all seem to be sailing in the same general direction. This confirms you're on the right path. But sometimes in the quiet of the night watch, a strange feeling creeps in. A quiet longing for something else. You see a small, uncharted island off in the distance. An island of creativity. Or you hear the faint sound of music from a hidden cove of adventure. You feel a pull towards them, but you ignore it. Those are not the coordinates, they are distractions. The goal is the port city of the good life. Years pass. Finally, you see it on the horizon. The tall buildings, the grand estates. You have made it. You sail into the harbor, and the people on the dock cheer for you. They say you have arrived, you have succeeded, your life is together. You have won. But as you stand on the deck of your ship, looking out at the city you worked so hard to reach, you feel nothing. No joy, no satisfaction. Just a hollow, aching emptiness. You realize, with a crushing sense of finality, that you never wanted to be in this city. You wanted to be on that quiet island painting. You wanted to be in that hidden cove dancing. You conquered the ocean to reach a destination that was never your own. This is the tragic result of living a life based on a borrowed dream. To get your life together on your own terms, you must first perform an honest and sometimes painful audit of the dreams you are currently chasing. We must understand the anatomy of a borrowed dream, where it comes from, and why it holds such power over us. The first and most powerful source is often our own family. Our parents love us. They want the best for us. But their definition of the best is shaped by their own experiences, their own fears, and their own unfulfilled dreams. They may have struggled financially, so their primary wish for you is security. They push you towards a stable, high-paying career like medicine, law, or engineering. They are not doing this to make you miserable. They are doing it to protect you from the pain they experienced. But in their effort to protect you, they may accidentally suffocate your true nature. Think of a young woman who has a deep passion for wildlife biology. She feels most alive when she is outdoors, studying ecosystems. It is a calling that comes from the very core of her being. But her parents are practical people. They see that path as uncertain, low-paying, and full of risk. They gently, or perhaps not so gently, steer her towards a degree in accounting. It's a safe profession, they say. You will always have a job. Because she loves her parents and wants to make them proud, she agrees. She tells herself it is the sensible thing to do. She goes to college, she gets the accounting degree, she gets a good job at a reputable firm. On paper, she is a success. Her parents are immensely proud. They tell all their friends about their daughter, the accountant, but inside she is withering. She spends her days in a beige cubicle, staring at spreadsheets. The numbers are meaningless to her. They hold none of the intricate beauty of the ecosystem she longs for. She feels like an imposter, an actor playing a role. She gets raises and promotions, but each step up the ladder feels like a step deeper into a prison of her own making. The praise from her boss feels hollow. The bigger paycheck just buys her nicer things to distract her from the emptiness. This is the quiet tragedy of a borrowed dream. It looks like success from the outside, but it feels like failure on the inside. You must ask yourself, is the dream I am chasing truly my own, or is it a dream I inherited? The second source of borrowed dreams is the broader societal and cultural script. As we discussed in the first chapter, society has a timeline, but it also has a content plan. It sells us a very specific pre-packaged version of the good life. This package is relentlessly advertised to us from the moment we are born. We see it in commercials, in television shows, in movies. It almost always involves a high-status job, a large house in the suburbs, a luxury car, a physically attractive partner, and 2 perfect children. This image is presented as the universal definition of happiness. It is the gold standard. If your life does not look like this, the implicit message is that you are doing something wrong. This constant bombardment of a single life model can be incredibly powerful. It can make you want things you don't actually want. You might find yourself working 60 hours a week to afford a bigger house, not because you need the space, but because a big house is a symbol of success you have been taught to desire. You might feel pressure to get married and have kids, even if you have a deep sense that a life of solitude or travel would be more fulfilling for you. The cultural script is like a strong current in a river. It is effortless to just float along with it. To swim against it, or to get out of the river and walk along the bank, takes immense courage and self-awareness. You must question the script. Who wrote it? Who benefits from me believing in it? Does this pre-packaged life truly align with what makes me feel alive? The third source is our immediate peer group. We are social animals, and we have a deep-seated need to belong. This can lead us to adopt the values and goals of the people around us, sometimes without even realizing it. If all your friends are obsessed with fitness, you might feel pressure to develop the same obsession, even if you would rather spend your free time reading. If your entire social circle is climbing the corporate ladder, you might feel like a failure for wanting to be a teacher or a social worker. Your social circle becomes an echo chamber. The same values are repeated and reinforced until they feel like objective truth. To desire something different feels like a betrayal of the group. It risks judgment and isolation. This is why it is so important to be conscious of who you surround yourself with, a topic we will explore in a later chapter. For now, it is enough to recognize that the desires of your friends are not necessarily your desires. You must learn to distinguish the echo from your own voice. Living a life in pursuit of a borrowed dream, whether it came from your parents, society, or your friends, comes at an extraordinarily high cost. It is a cost that is rarely talked about because, on the surface, everything looks fine. The first and most common cost is burnout. Burnout is not just feeling tired. It is a state of profound emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged and excessive stress. When you are living an inauthentic life, you are in a state of constant internal conflict. Your actions are at war with your values. This creates a deep, chronic stress that slowly erodes your resources. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to pretend to be someone you are not, day after day. It is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. For a while you can do it, but eventually your muscles will give out. Burnout is the feeling of your muscles giving out. From burnout, it is a short walk to apathy and numbness. This is perhaps even more insidious. It is the state of the accountant in our story. It is the feeling of the captain who has reached the wrong port. You may have what is called golden handcuffs, a job that pays you very well but drains your soul. You have all the material comforts you were told would make you happy, yet you feel nothing. Joy becomes a foreign concept. Life loses its color and its flavor. You go through the motions. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you watch television, you go to sleep. You are not living. You are simply existing. This numbness is a defense mechanism. Your psyche is trying to protect you from the constant pain of your inauthentic life by shutting down all feelings, both good and bad. And this internal state inevitably begins to manifest in your physical body. The mind and body are not separate entities. They are a deeply interconnected system. The chronic stress of living a life that is not your own can have devastating effects on your health. It can lead to chronic inflammation, which is a root cause of many diseases. It can lead to high blood pressure, a weakened immune system that makes you susceptible to every cold that goes around, persistent headaches, and serious digestive issues. Your body is trying to send you a message. It is screaming at you that something is fundamentally wrong. We often try to silence these messages with medication or distractions, but they will only get louder until we address the root cause. The root cause is the fundamental misalignment between your daily life and your true self. So how do we break free? How do we find our own coordinates? We start by understanding the two different types of fuel that can power our lives. Psychologists call them extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Understanding the difference between these two is like being given a secret key to unlocking a life of genuine fulfillment. Extrinsic motivation is motivation that comes from the outside. It is about doing something in order to get an external reward or to avoid an external punishment. The rewards are things like money, a promotion, a fancy job title, a grade on a test, praise from others, or a like on social media. The punishments are things like being fired, getting a bad grade, or being criticized by others. Most of the world runs on extrinsic motivation. It is the primary tool used by schools, corporations, and even many parents. It can be effective for getting people to perform simple, straightforward tasks. If you offer someone a bonus for making more widgets, they will probably make more widgets. But extrinsic motivation has some serious and well-documented downsides. The first is that its effects are often temporary. The happiness you get from an external reward, like a raise, fades very quickly. This is a phenomenon known as the hedonic treadmill. You get the raise, you feel great for a week, and then your brain adapts. The new salary becomes your new normal, and to get that same feeling of happiness again, you need an even bigger raise. You are constantly chasing the next reward, and it is never enough. The second problem is that extrinsic motivators can actually kill creativity and a deeper form of engagement. Studies have shown that when you reward people for creative tasks, they often do worse work. Their focus shifts from the joy of solving the problem to the anxiety of getting the reward. It narrows their focus and makes them less willing to take risks and explore innovative solutions. Finally, an over-reliance on extrinsic motivation can erode your inner drive. You start to do things only for the reward, and you lose any sense of personal satisfaction from the activity itself. The student who only studies to get an A loses the love of learning. The artist who only paints what sells loses the joy of creation. Intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is the opposite. It is motivation that comes from within. It is the desire to do something because you find it inherently interesting, enjoyable, challenging, or meaningful. The reward is the activity itself. Think about a hobby you love. Maybe it is playing the guitar, gardening, or working on a complex puzzle. No one is paying you to do it. You are not getting a promotion for it. You do it for the sheer pleasure of it. That is intrinsic motivation. It is the musician lost in a piece of music. It is the writer who feels a deep sense of satisfaction from finding the perfect word. It is the programmer who stays up late, not because of a deadline, but because she is completely absorbed in solving a difficult coding problem. It is the volunteer who feels a profound sense of purpose from helping others. Intrinsic motivation is the fuel of mastery, purpose, and lasting fulfillment. When you are intrinsically motivated, you are not chasing a fleeting reward. You are engaged in a process that is continuously rewarding. You are more creative, more persistent, and more resilient in the face of setbacks. The secret to getting your life together on your own terms is to reorient your life away from the hollow pursuit of extrinsic rewards and towards the deep, sustainable power of intrinsic motivation. It is about building a life that is rich in activities that you would do for free. This does not mean you have to quit your job and become a penniless artist. It means you must start the work of discovering what truly motivates you from the inside out, and then begin to strategically and intelligently weave more of that into your life. This brings us to the most important part of this chapter: the how. How do you excavate your own true intrinsic values from beneath the rubble of borrowed dreams? This is not a passive process. It requires active, dedicated work. We are going on an archaeological dig into your own soul. Here are the tools you will need. The first and most powerful tool is an exercise called the 5 Whys. It was originally developed by Sakichi Toyoda, the founder of Toyota, as a method for getting to the root cause of a manufacturing problem. It is also an incredibly effective tool for getting to the root of your own desires. The process is simple. You start with a surface-level goal, something you think you want. Then you ask why 5 times, with each answer forming the basis for the next question. Let's walk through a few examples. Let's start with a common one. I want to be rich. This seems like a straightforward goal, but it is almost always a proxy for something deeper. Why do you want to be rich? So I don't have to worry about money, and I can buy anything I want. Why do you want to not worry about money and buy anything you want? Because it would make me feel secure and free. Why do you want to feel secure and free? Because if I was secure, I wouldn't be so anxious all the time. And if I was free, I could spend my time doing things I actually enjoy. Why do you want to spend your time on things you enjoy without anxiety? Because I want to feel a sense of peace and have the space to be creative. Why do you want to feel peace and have the space to be creative? Because I believe that would lead to a life of genuine happiness and fulfillment. Look at what happened. We started with rich, which is an extrinsic goal. We ended with security, freedom, peace, and creativity. These are intrinsic values. The money was never the real goal. It was just one perceived path to the real goals. This is a life-changing insight. It means you don't necessarily need to be a millionaire to achieve your real goals. You can start cultivating security, freedom, peace, and creativity in your life right now in small ways. Maybe security means building a small emergency fund. Maybe freedom means negotiating to work from home 1 day a week. Maybe peace means starting a 5-minute meditation practice. Maybe creativity means taking a pottery class. You have uncoupled the true desire from the borrowed solution. Let's try another one. I want to get a promotion at work. Why do you want a promotion? Because it comes with a better title and more respect from my colleagues. Why do you want a better title and more respect? Because I want to feel important and valued. Why do you want to feel important and valued? Because I want to feel like my work matters and that I'm making a contribution. Why do you want to feel like you are making a contribution? Because I want my life to have a sense of purpose. Why do you want your life to have a sense of purpose? Because that is what I believe makes a life meaningful. Again, we started with an extrinsic goal, promotion, and ended with a core intrinsic value, purpose and contribution. Is the promotion the only way to find purpose and contribution in your work? Absolutely not. Maybe you could find it by mentoring a junior colleague. Maybe you could find it by volunteering to lead a project you care about, even if it doesn't come with a new title. You have opened up a world of possibilities beyond the narrow path you were focused on. Take the time this week to do the 5 whys on at least 3 of your major life goals. Be honest with your answers. Dig deep. The truth you uncover will be your new compass. The second tool is a powerful visualization exercise called the perfect average day. Forget about winning the lottery. That fantasy is often too big and abstract to be useful. Instead, I want you to imagine your ideal but realistic average Tuesday 5 years from now. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Now let's build this day. You wake up. There is no alarm clock. You have slept as long as your body needed. What is the very first feeling you experience? Is it calm? Is it excitement? Is it peace? What does the room you are in look like? What can you see out the window? Are you alone, or is someone there with you? You get out of bed and start your day. What do you do for the first hour? Do you exercise? Do you read? Do you write in a journal? Do you have coffee with a loved one? Be as specific as possible. Now think about your work for the day. This might be a job, or it might be a project or a calling. What kind of problems are you solving? What kind of tasks are you engaged in? Are you working with your hands? Are you working with ideas? Are you working with people? What is the environment like? Is it a bustling office, a quiet studio, a classroom, the great outdoors? The most important question is this: what about this work gives you a sense of purpose? Feel the feeling of being deeply engaged and motivated. Now it's lunchtime. What do? Do you eat alone or with colleagues you genuinely enjoy? Do you take a walk? How do you spend your afternoon? Is it similar to the morning, or is it different? The workday ends. How do you feel? Are you drained and exhausted, or are you pleasantly tired but fulfilled? How do you spend your evening? Do you cook a meal? Do you meet friends? Do you work on a hobby? Do you spend time with family? As you get ready for bed, you look back on your day. What are you most grateful for? What was the best moment? When you are finished with the visualization, open your eyes and grab your notebook. Write down everything you can remember. But don't just write down the events, write down the feelings and the values that were present in your perfect day. Did you feel a sense of freedom, autonomy, connection, creativity, stability, adventure, challenge, growth? These words are the building blocks of your personal definition of a win. They are the true coordinates for your journey. The final tool is a simple week-long practice called the Joy and Drain list. For the next 7 days, you will pay close attention to your energy. In your notebook, create 2 columns. Label one Joy Energy and the other Drain. Throughout each day, make a quick note of the activities, interactions, tasks, and environments that fall into each category. Be specific. Joy Energy might include things like my morning walk, listening to a podcast, a brainstorming session with my team, cooking a new recipe, or a phone call with my best friend. Drain might include answering emails for an hour straight, the weekly budget meeting, scrolling through social media, or small talk with a negative coworker. At the end of the week, look at your list. The patterns will be undeniable. Your list is a direct, data-driven report from your own soul, telling you exactly what it needs more of and what it needs less of. It is a personalized instruction manual for how to build a life that feels good. After completing these 3 exercises, the 5 whys, the perfect average day, and the Joy and Drain list, you are ready to create your new navigation chart. On a fresh page in your notebook, write the heading My Definition of a Win. Based on all the evidence you have gathered, list your top 5 core values. These are your non-negotiables. These are your new North Stars. Your list might look something like this. 1. Freedom. 2. Creativity. 3. Connection. 4. Growth. 5. Stability. Or it might be completely different. Adventure. Service. Peace. Mastery. Health. There are no right or wrong answers. This is your personal constitution. This is your definition of a life that is truly together. From this moment on, every decision you make, big or small, can be filtered through this list. When a new career opportunity comes along, you can ask, does this align with my values of freedom and creativity? When you are deciding how to spend your weekend, you can ask, will this support my value of connection or my value of health? This list is your shield against borrowed dreams. It is your compass in the storm. It simplifies your life by giving you a clear and consistent framework for making choices. This is the ultimate act of getting your life together. It is not about having all the answers. It is about finally asking the right questions. It is about having the courage to ignore the loud, confident voices of the world and to finally listen to the quiet, persistent whisper of your own heart. You are the captain of your ship. You have your coordinates. Now, and only now, are you ready to sail. Chapter 4. The Power of a Clean Slate. You have found your North Star. You have a compass built from your own core values, not one that was handed to you. You know your starting point, and you know your destination. The temptation now is to leap into action, to start building, to start doing, to start striving. But there is one more crucial step we must take before we can lay the first brick of our new life. We must prepare the ground. Imagine a gardener. She has the most wonderful heirloom seeds that promise a harvest of incredible joy and fulfillment. She has a perfect blueprint for how she wants her garden to look. But when she goes to her plot of land, she finds it is completely overgrown. It is choked with weeds, littered with old rocks, and the soil is compacted and hard. If she simply throws her precious new seeds onto this ground, what will happen? Nothing. The seeds won't be able to find the soil. They won't get the sunlight or the water they need. The weeds will strangle any that do manage to sprout. Her efforts will be for nothing. Before she can plant, she must first clear. She must pull the weeds, remove the rocks, and till the soil. She must create a clean slate. In our lives, this overgrown garden is the clutter we have accumulated. It is not just the physical clutter you can see, the piles of paper on your desk, or the clothes overflowing from your closet. It is also the mental clutter of 1,000 unfinished tasks swirling in your head. It is the emotional clutter of old resentments and regrets that you carry with you every day. This clutter in all its forms drains your energy, steals your focus, and suffocates your ability to grow. It is the static on the radio that prevents you from hearing the music of your own life. Creating a clean slate, both physically and mentally, is not about procrastination. It is a strategic and essential act of preparation. It is about creating the space required for new things to enter your life. You cannot build a peaceful future on a chaotic foundation. You must first create calm. You must first make room. Let's begin with the most visible and tangible form of clutter, the physical clutter in your environment. Take a moment to look around the space you are in right now, your home, your office, your car. What does it look like? Is it a calm and orderly sanctuary that supports your best self? Or is it a chaotic landscape of mess and disorganization? For many of us, it is the latter. We live with piles of mail, cluttered countertops, and closets stuffed so full we're afraid to open them. We tell ourselves it's not a big deal, that we are just messy people. But the truth is that your external environment is a direct reflection of your internal state. And more than that, your external environment actively shapes your internal state. A cluttered space creates a cluttered mind. Neuroscientists at Princeton University have actually studied this. They conducted an experiment where they showed people images of organized and disorganized scenes. They found that when a person's visual field was cluttered, their brain had to work much harder to filter out the irrelevant stimuli. This cognitive overload made it significantly more difficult for them to focus and to process information. In simple terms, your brain cannot ignore the mess. The pile of unfolded laundry in the corner of your room is not just a pile of laundry. It is a constant low-level drain on your brain's processing power. Your brain has to use a tiny bit of its precious focus bandwidth just to acknowledge the pile and tell itself not to deal with it right now. Each item out of place, each stack of papers, each overflowing trash can is another little leak in your mental energy tank. By the end of the day, you wonder why you feel so drained and unfocused, and you blame yourself for being lazy. But often you are not lazy. You are just living in an environment that is actively working against your brain's ability to function at its best. Beyond the cognitive load, clutter sends a powerful and demoralizing signal to your subconscious mind. What does a messy desk say? It says, I am overwhelmed. My work is on top of me. I am not in control. What does a kitchen sink full of dirty dishes say? It says, I am behind. I can't even keep up with the basics. Each pocket of clutter is a physical monument to a decision that has been deferred. That pile of mail contains bills to pay, forms to fill out, and letters to respond to. By not dealing with it, you have created a physical symbol of your own procrastination. Every time you walk past it, it's a silent little accusation. It whispers, "You are not on top of your life." This creates a low-grade, chronic stress response in your body. It keeps you in a perpetual state of feeling slightly anxious and reactive, rather than calm and proactive. There is also the emotional weight of our things. We often hold on to objects not because they are useful, but because of the emotions attached to them. We feel guilt, so we keep the ugly vase that our aunt gave us for our wedding. We would never display it, so it sits in a box in the basement, taking up space and radiating a faint aura of obligation. We feel fear, so we keep clothes that haven't fit us in 10 years, just in case we might need them someday. This someday thinking keeps us tethered to a past version of ourselves, preventing us from embracing who we are now. We hold on to things out of a misplaced sense of nostalgia, keeping boxes of old college textbooks or ticket stubs from concerts we barely remember. We think these things hold the memories, but they don't. The memories are inside you. The objects are just dusty anchors to the past. This emotional clutter can be the heaviest of all. It keeps our homes, and by extension our lives, stuck in a previous chapter, with no room for the next one to begin. So how do we begin the clearing process? The thought of decluttering an entire home can be so overwhelming that it leads to instant paralysis. So we are not going to do that. The key to successful decluttering is to reject perfectionism and start small. Your goal is not to become a minimalist with 3 shirts and 1 bowl overnight. Your goal is to experience the power of a single clean space. This is the one space sanctuary method. I want you to choose one, and only one, small area in your home to reclaim. This will become your sanctuary. It could be your bedside table. It could be the armchair in the corner of your living room. It could be your desk. Choose a space that you can see and use every single day. Let's say you choose your desk. Your mission for this week is to transform that desk into a place of complete calm and order. Take everything off it. Everything. Wipe the surface clean. Now look at the pile of things you removed. Touch each item one by one and make a conscious decision. Does this object actively support the life I am trying to build? Do I use it regularly? Does it bring me joy? If the answer is no, get rid of it. Be ruthless. That dried up pen, throw it away. That stack of papers from a project that ended 6 months ago, recycle it. That novelty mug you never use, donate it. Only put back the absolute essentials. Your computer, a lamp, a pen that works, a single small notebook, maybe a small plant or a single photo that makes you genuinely happy. That's it. Now step back and look at your new desk. How does it feel? It feels calm. It feels clear. It feels full of potential. For the rest of the week, your only job is to protect this sanctuary. Before you go to bed each night, take 2 minutes to ensure your desk is completely clear. This one small act does something incredible for your psychology. It proves to you that you are capable of creating order out of chaos. It gives you a tangible victory, and it creates a physical anchor of peace in your home. When the rest of the world feels overwhelming, you can sit at your clean desk and your brain will get a signal of calm and control. This small island of order will begin to spread. The feeling is so good that you will start to crave it in other areas. Maybe next week you will tackle the kitchen counter. The week after, one shelf in your closet. You build momentum, one small sanctuary at a time. For the daily task of chipping away at the clutter, we will use a technique called the 15-minute sweep. This is your weapon against overwhelm. The rules are simple. 1, you set a timer for exactly 15 minutes. 2, you pick one small contained area, not the bedroom, but the top of the dresser, not the kitchen, but the junk drawer. 3, you put on some high-energy music. 4, for those 15 minutes, you move continuously. You do not stop to check your phone or get lost in old memories. You are on a mission. Your only goal is to make progress for 15 minutes. You do not have to finish. The goal is the action, not the completion. To make this process efficient, you can use the simple 4-box method. As you work, you have 4 designated spots. A trash bag for garbage, a box for items you want to donate or give away, a box or laundry basket for items that need to be relocated to another room, and the space itself for the things you are keeping. Every item you pick up goes into one of these 4 categories immediately. This prevents you from just moving piles around. When the timer goes off, you stop. You take the trash to the bin, you put the relocate basket by the door to be dealt with later. You put the donate box in the trunk of your car so it actually leaves your house. You have made a real measurable dent in the clutter. Doing this just once a day for 15 minutes can transform a home in a matter of weeks. It is a gentle, sustainable, and empowering way to create the physical, clean slate your mind is craving. Now we move from the outer world to the inner world, from the clutter in your room to the clutter in your head. Mental clutter is even more exhausting than physical clutter because you can't walk away from it. It follows you everywhere. The primary source of this mental clutter is the endless stream of unfinished tasks, worries, and obligations that are swirling around in your brain at all times. You have to remember to email your boss, to schedule a dentist appointment, to buy a birthday gift for your friend, to figure out what to make for dinner, and to worry about that weird noise your car is making. Each one of these open loops is a drain on your mental resources. This phenomenon has a name. It is called the Zeigarnik effect, named after the Soviet psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, who first studied it in the 1920s. The story goes that she was at a restaurant in Vienna and was amazed by the waiter's ability to remember complex, unpaid orders for multiple tables. But as soon as the bill was paid, the waiters could no longer remember the order at all. Her research concluded that the human brain has a powerful, built-in obsession with unfinished tasks. An incomplete task creates a state of tension in the brain, and the brain keeps nagging you about it, pushing it into your conscious awareness until it is completed. Think of your brain's working memory as the RAM on a computer. Every single unfinished task, every worry, every unresolved issue is like an open program running in the background. If you have too many programs open, your computer slows down, becomes sluggish, and is prone to crashing. This is exactly what it feels like to be overwhelmed. Your brain is crashing under the weight of too many open loops. The key to clearing your mental clutter is to systematically close these loops. The single most powerful tool for this is the brain dump. It is simple, free, and it can change your life in 20 minutes. You will need several blank sheets of paper and a pen. Find a quiet time and place. For the next 20 minutes, your only job is to write down every single thing that is in your head. Everything. Do not filter it. Do not organize it. Do not judge it, just get it out, every to-do, big or small. Buy milk. Finish the quarterly report. Call mom. Every worry. What if I fail the presentation? Am I in the right career? I hope that weird mole is nothing. Every idea. Maybe I should start a podcast. I should plan a vacation, every frustration. My coworker is so annoying. The internet is too slow. Write until you literally cannot think of anything else to write. Empty your head completely onto the pages in front of you. When you are finished, take a deep breath. You will likely feel an immediate sense of relief. This is because you have externalized the burden. Your brain no longer has to use its precious energy to hold on to all of that information. The thoughts are captured. They are safe on the paper. You have taken the 100 open programs that were slowing down your mental computer, and you have closed them, saving the files to an external hard drive. This act alone is incredibly powerful, but we can take it one step further by organizing the dump. Go through your list item by item and sort it. A simple system is to put a letter next to each item. D for do. This is a task that you are responsible for. D for delegate. This is a task you can ask someone else to do. And D for delete. This is a worry or a thought that is unproductive, and you can choose to let go of. Now focus on your do list. Look for any task that would take less than 2 minutes to complete. The 2-minute rule, popularized by productivity expert David Allen, states that if a task takes less than 2 minutes, you should do it immediately. So, right now, send that quick email, make that fast phone call, put that dish in the dishwasher. By knocking out these small tasks immediately, you get a rush of momentum and shrink your list dramatically. For the tasks that will take longer than 2 minutes, you must give them a home. This means either putting them on a calendar for a specific day and time, or putting them on an organized master to-do list. The act of scheduling a task is a way of telling your brain, this is handled. We have a plan. You can stop worrying about it now. This closes the zygonic loop and frees up your mental space. To manage the mental clutter of worry, you can use a powerful technique from cognitive behavioral therapy called worry time. This may sound counterintuitive, but you are going to schedule a time to worry. Choose a specific 15-minute window each day, perhaps at 5 p.m. That will be your designated worry time. When a worried thought pops into your head during the day, you will acknowledge it and then tell yourself, thank you for the reminder, brain, but I am not going to think about this now. I will add it to the list and deal with it at my scheduled worry time at 5 p.m. Then write the worry down. What this does is contain your anxiety. Instead of letting it bleed into and contaminate your entire day, you put it in a box that can only be opened at a specific time. You will be amazed at what happens. First, you will find that you are much more focused and present during the day. Second, when you sit down for your worry time and look at your list, many of the worries will have lost their power. They will seem smaller, or you will have already found a solution, or you will realize they were not worth worrying about in the first place. You are taking control of your worry, rather than letting it control you. Finally, we must address the deepest and most challenging form of clutter: emotional clutter. This is the collection of old hurts, resentments, grudges, and regrets that we carry around. It is the heaviest baggage of all. Think of it like carrying a backpack full of rocks. Every rock is a grievance. A rock for the friend who betrayed you. A rock for the parent who misunderstood you. A rock for the boss who treated you unfairly. A rock for the mistake you made 10 years ago that you still beat yourself up about. You have been carrying this backpack for so long that you may not even notice its weight anymore. But it is slowing you down, exhausting you, and keeping your posture stooped towards the past. Creating a clean slate means making a conscious decision to put down the backpack. The primary tool for this is forgiveness. It is essential to understand that forgiveness is not about condoning what happened. It is not about saying that what the other person did was okay. It is not about letting them off the hook. Forgiveness is a completely selfish act. It is something you do for you. Holding onto a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The only person being harmed by your resentment is you. It keeps the wound fresh. It keeps you emotionally tied to the person who hurt you. It allows a past event to continue to cause you pain in the present. Forgiveness is the act of cutting that cord. It is the act of saying, I am no longer willing to let your actions from the past poison my present. I am choosing my own peace over my attachment to this pain. To practice this, you can use the unsent letter exercise. Find a quiet time. On a piece of paper, write a letter to the person you need to forgive. This letter is for your eyes only, so do not hold back. Let all the anger, the hurt, and the pain pour out onto the page. Tell them exactly how their actions made you feel. Say all the things you wish you could have said. Empty your heart of all the poison. When you are finished, take a break. Then, on a new sheet of paper, write a second letter. This one is from a different place. It is a letter of release. It might say something like, I am choosing to forgive you not because you deserve it or because what you did was right, but because I deserve peace. I am releasing the burden of this anger because I no longer want to carry it. I am letting this go so that I can be free. Read this second letter out loud to yourself. Feel the intention behind the words, and then you must physically release it. Tear up both letters. Burn them in a safe place. Flush them down the toilet. The physical act of destroying the letters sends a powerful signal to your subconscious that the matter is closed. You are free. You may need to do this exercise more than once for deep wounds, but with each repetition, you will feel the weight in your backpack getting lighter. Creating a clean slate is a profound act of self-love. It is you declaring that you are worthy of a calm environment, a clear mind, and a light heart. By clearing your physical space, you create order in your external world. By clearing your mental space, you create focus and calm in your internal world. By clearing your emotional space, you release the anchors that tie you to a painful past. You have pulled the weeds, you have removed the rocks, you have tilled the soil. The ground is now fertile. You have created a beautiful, empty space. A space that is not empty in a sad way, but empty in a hopeful way. It is a space full of possibility. It is a space ready for new growth. You have prepared the garden. Now you are finally ready to plant. Chapter 5. The 1 degree shift. You have done the essential work of clearing the ground. Your home, your mind, and your heart have more space than they have had in a very long time. You have a clean slate. You also have a destination. You have looked past the borrowed dreams of the world and forged your own definition of a win. A North Star built from your own authentic values. The path between your starting point and your destination now seems clear. And here, at this moment of clarity, you are in the greatest danger. The danger is that you will try to leap across the entire distance in a single bound. The danger is the fallacy of the grand gesture. This is the moment when you tell yourself, okay, it's time, tomorrow everything changes. You decide that tomorrow you will wake up at 5 in the morning, meditate for an hour, write 1,000 words of your novel, go to the gym for 2 hours, completely overhaul your diet and start a new business on the side. You are filled with a surge of intoxicating motivation. This is it. This is the moment your new life begins. And for one day, maybe it does. You force yourself out of bed in the dark. You sit in painful, fidgety silence for what feels like an eternity. You stare at a blank page, the pressure of 1,000 words crushing you. You drag your sore, unprepared body through a grueling workout. You eat a salad that feels like punishment. By the end of the day, you are not energized. You are not renewed. You are shattered. You are emotionally and physically exhausted. When the alarm goes off on day 2, the thought of doing it all again feels not just difficult, but impossible. The grand gesture has revealed itself to be a cliff face, not a staircase. So you hit snooze. You tell yourself you'll start again tomorrow, or maybe next week, and with that, the entire enterprise collapses. You have not just failed to make progress, you have actually gone backwards. Because now, on top of the old feeling of being behind, you have added a fresh, sharp layer of failure. The voice in your head now says, see, I told you, you don't have what it takes. You can't even stick to something for more than a day. The grand gesture, the heroic leap, almost always ends in a crash landing that leaves you more broken than when you started. This is the all-or-nothing trap. It is a trap we fall into because we are impatient. We live in a world of instant gratification. We want to lose 20 pounds in a week, not over 6 months. We want to become a master guitarist in a month, not over a decade. We want to fix our lives in a single, dramatic, movie montage weekend. But life is not a movie montage. Real, sustainable change is almost always slow, boring, and invisible. The secret to getting your life together is to abandon the fantasy of the heroic leap and to embrace the profound, almost magical power of the tiny, incremental change. It is the power of the 1 degree shift. This chapter is about learning to respect the small. It is about understanding that the largest, most impressive structures in the world, from the Great Pyramids to the sprawling redwood forests, were all built one small, insignificant piece at a time. Your new life will be built in the same way. One tiny, almost unnoticeable choice repeated day after day. To understand why the grand gesture fails and the tiny shift succeeds, we need to take a brief journey into the architecture of your brain. Deep within your brain is a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. You can think of the amygdala as your brain's ancient, primitive security guard. Its job is to constantly scan your environment, both internal and external, for potential threats. It is the source of the fight-or-flight response. It is a system that was designed to keep you safe from predators on the savannah thousands of years ago. The problem is that this ancient security guard is not very sophisticated. It can't really tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a new ambitious goal. It just recognizes a big, scary challenge. When you stand at the bottom of the cliff face of your grand gesture, when you announce to yourself, "Tomorrow, I will change everything about my life," your amygdala sounds the alarm. It perceives this massive, unfamiliar challenge as a threat. It floods your system with stress hormones. It screams, "Danger, this is too much, this is unsafe, abort mission." This is the feeling of being overwhelmed. This is the sudden, irresistible urge to procrastinate, to check your phone, to do anything other than face the massive task you have set for yourself. Your conscious mind wants to change, but your primitive brain is hitting the emergency brake with all its might. Now consider a different approach. Instead of declaring that you will write 1,000 words tomorrow, you make a commitment to write just one sentence, one single sentence. What does your amygdala do? Nothing. A single sentence is not a threat. It is so small, so non-threatening, that it flies completely under the radar of your brain's security system. There is no alarm, there is no stress response, there is no urge to flee. You can just do it. Instead of vowing to go to the gym for 2 hours, you decide that your only goal is to put on your running shoes and stand on your front porch for 1 minute. Again, this is a laughably small task. The amygdala stays quiet. It is too small to fail. This is the secret. To make real, lasting change, you must learn to make your goals so small that they do not trigger your brain's built-in resistance to change. You sneak past the guard day after day until you look back and realize you have traveled miles. This brings us to our core metaphor, the 1-degree shift. Imagine a large ship leaving the port of Los Angeles. The captain has set a course for Tokyo, Japan. Now imagine another ship leaving the same port at the same time with the same destination. But on this second ship, the captain makes a tiny, almost imperceptible adjustment to the rudder. He changes the ship's heading by just 1 single degree to the south. For the first few hours of the journey, the two ships look like they are sailing side by side. After a full day at sea, they are separated by only a few miles. From the deck of either ship, the other would still be clearly visible on the horizon. The 1-degree difference seems completely insignificant. It feels like it has made no real impact. But the power of that 1 degree is not in the first day. It is in the compounding effect over the vastness of the ocean. After a week, the ships are hundreds of miles apart. After 2 weeks, they are in completely different parts of the Pacific Ocean. By the time the first ship arrives in Tokyo, the second ship, the one that made the 1-degree shift, will find itself docking in Manila, in the Philippines. A single, tiny, seemingly insignificant shift at the beginning of the journey, compounded over time and distance, resulted in a destination that is thousands of miles away from the original. Your life is this ship. Your daily habits are your rudder. A 1-degree shift in your daily habits, a tiny change in the direction you point yourself each day, will seem to make no difference at all tomorrow or the next day. You will not see the results immediately. And this is why most people give up. We are addicted to immediate feedback. But if you have the patience and the discipline to hold that 1-degree shift, day after day, week after week, you will look back in a year or 5 years and find yourself in a place you never could have imagined. You will have landed in a completely different country. The person who decides to save just $1 a day does not feel any richer at the end of the week. But over 30 years, with the power of compound interest, they can build a small fortune. The person who decides to read just 2 pages of a book each night will not feel any smarter the next morning, but they will read more than a dozen books in a year and hundreds over a decade, accumulating a vast reservoir of knowledge. The person who chooses to do just 1 push-up today seems to be doing nothing at all. But that 1 push-up can lead to 2 tomorrow and 5 the week after, until they have built a consistent habit of exercise that transforms their health. This is the quiet miracle of compounding. Small, smart choices plus consistency plus time equals radical difference. This principle is not just a nice idea. It is a mathematical reality. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, lays out the stunning math of a 1% improvement. If you can get just 1% better at something each day for a year, the compounding effect is staggering. The math looks like this. 1.01 to the power of 365 equals 37.78. This means that by the end of the year, you will be nearly 38 times better than when you started. A tiny 1% edge repeated daily results in a massive improvement. Conversely, the math also shows the destructive power of a 1% decline. If you get 1% worse each day, if you let your bad habits slide just a little bit, the result is 0.99 to the power of 365, which is 0.03. You end up at almost 0. The daily choices we make are not just small choices. They are trajectory choices. They are setting our course. A single burger and fries is not going to make you unhealthy, but a daily habit of eating burgers and fries will. A single night of staying up too late is not going to ruin your life, but a consistent pattern of poor sleep will erode your mental and physical health. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is the sum of your daily 1-degree shifts. So how do we put this into practice? How do we find our own 1-degree shift? This is the how. This is the actionable part of the journey. It is a 4-step process. The first step is to connect your shift to your North Star. A 1-degree shift is not a random act of self-improvement. It must be a deliberate move in the direction of your own authentic values that you defined in the last chapter. A shift is only powerful if it is in the right direction. Remember the ship. A 1-degree shift towards the North Pole is useless if your goal is the equator. So, look at your list of core values. Pick one. Let's say one of your core values is growth or knowledge. Your 1-degree shift should be something that serves this value. Let's say another value is health or vitality. Your shift should serve that. Your values are the destination. The 1-degree shift is the first tiny turn of the rudder. Do not try to work on all your values at once. Pick one area to focus on first. This is crucial. We are trying to avoid the overwhelm that we know leads to failure. One value, one shift. The second step is the art of shrinking. This is the process of taking a large, intimidating goal and making it so small it becomes impossible not to do. Let's take our value of growth and knowledge. A big goal associated with this might be, I want to read more. This is vague and intimidating. Let's shrink it. Read a book a week. Still too big. Read a chapter a day. Better, but still a commitment. Read for 30 minutes a day. Still can feel like a chore on a busy day. Read 10 pages a day. Getting smaller. Read 1 page a day. Now we are talking. This is small. Can we make it even smaller? Yes. Read 1 paragraph a day. Can we shrink it more? Yes. Open a book and read 1 sentence. This last one. Read 1 sentence. This is a truly microscopic goal. It is laughably easy. There is no day so busy, no mood so foul that you cannot read a single sentence. This is your 1-degree shift. Let's try it with the value of health. A big goal is, I want to get in shape. Let's shrink it. Go to the gym 3 times a week. This is a huge commitment of time and energy. Work out at home for 30 minutes a day. Still a significant hurdle. Go for a run every day. This can be intimidating if you are not a runner. Go for a 10-minute walk every day. This is getting good. Very manageable. Can we shrink it more? Yes. Put on my walking shoes and walk to the end of my street and back. Can we make it even more ridiculously small? Yes. Put on my walking shoes. That is it. The goal for the day is just to put on your shoes. What happens when you put on your walking shoes? You will probably feel a little silly just taking them off again. You will probably decide to at least walk out the door, and once you're out the door, you might as well walk to the end of the street. But the official goal, the thing you can tick off your list, is just putting on the shoes. You are making the starting ritual of the habit itself. This is how you bypass the resistance of your brain. Take some time right now to do this with your own chosen value. What is the big, scary goal? Now shrink it, and shrink it again, and again. Keep shrinking it until you feel a sense of relief. Keep shrinking it until it feels almost pointless. That is the sweet spot. That is your 1-degree shift. You're not trying to impress anyone. You are not trying to be a hero. You are trying to be consistent. And consistency is born from ease. The third step is to adopt an identity-first approach. This is a subtle but profound mental shift. The goal is not just to perform an action. The goal is to become a certain type of person. The goal is not to write a book. The goal is to become a writer. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. Every time you perform your tiny 1-degree shift, you are not just taking an action. You are casting a vote for your desired identity. When you sit down and write your 1 sentence, no matter how short or how imperfect, you are casting a vote that says, I am a writer. When you go for your 5-minute walk, you are casting a vote that says, I am a person who takes care of their health. When you choose to put $1 into your savings account instead of buying a coffee, you are casting a vote that says, I am a person who is financially responsible. These single votes may not seem like much on their own, but they accumulate. Over time, the evidence builds up. After you have cast 100 votes for being a writer, your brain starts to believe it. It becomes part of your identity. And once a belief becomes part of your identity, you will fight to uphold it. It is one thing to say, "I want to eat healthy." It is another thing entirely to believe, "I am a healthy eater." A person who simply wants to eat healthy will be tempted by a piece of cake. But a person who believes they are a healthy eater might say, "No thanks, that's not who I am." Their identity guides their choices effortlessly. Your 1-degree shift is not a chore you have to do. It is an opportunity to prove to yourself in a small way who you are becoming. Each day you get to cast another vote. This is how you build a new identity from the ground up, with a foundation of small, irrefutable proof. The fourth and final step is to commit to consistency over intensity. This is the golden rule of the 1-degree shift. Our culture worships intensity. We celebrate the person who works 18-hour days, who pushes themselves to the brink. We are taught that effort should be heroic, but intensity is not sustainable. It leads to burnout, injury, and failure. Consistency is the quiet, unglamorous cousin of intensity, but it is infinitely more powerful. It is far better to walk for 10 minutes every single day than to go on a punishing 3-hour hike once a month. It is far better to write 1 page every day than to pull an all-nighter and write 30 pages once a month. The all-or-nothing mindset says, if I don't have an hour to go to the gym for a proper workout, then I might as well do nothing. The consistency mindset says, I only have 10 minutes, so I'll go for a quick walk. It's better than nothing. To build the muscle of consistency, you need one simple rule: never miss twice. Life happens, you will get sick, you will have a family emergency. You will have a day where you are so exhausted that you simply cannot bring yourself to perform your tiny habit. On these days, it is okay to miss. You are human, but you are not allowed to miss 2 days in a row. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit of not doing it. The rule of never missing twice allows for the imperfections of real life, while still protecting the integrity of your new pattern. If you miss your walk on Tuesday, you make a promise to yourself that you will get it done on Wednesday, no matter what. Even if it's just the 5-minute version, this simple rule prevents a single slip-up from derailing your entire progress. It allows you to get back on track immediately, without the guilt and shame that usually accompany a broken streak. Your mission for the next month is to focus on one thing and one thing only: your 1-degree shift. Do not add anything else. Do not try to optimize it. Do not worry about the results. Your only goal is to show up and perform your tiny, laughably small action every single day. Your goal is to build the chain, celebrate the showing up, not the outcome. If your goal is to write 1 sentence a day, and one day you feel inspired and write 3 pages, that is wonderful. But the victory for the day is not the 3 pages. The victory is that you showed up to write your 1 sentence. This focus on the process rather than the result is what makes the habit stick. You are building the muscle of consistency, and that muscle will be the engine that drives all your future growth. This is a quiet revolution. It is the rejection of the loud, aggressive, and ultimately ineffective model of life change that our culture sells us. It is an embrace of a gentler, more patient, and more sustainable path. It is the understanding that you do not need to shatter your life and rebuild it from scratch. You just need to make a 1-degree course correction today, and then again tomorrow. You have the power to change your entire life's trajectory, not with a massive, painful effort, but with a small, quiet, and consistent choice. The person you want to be is not created in some distant future moment of triumph. That person is built in the next 5 minutes, with the next small decision. Your future is not a destination you arrive at. It is a direction you are heading. Choose your 1-degree shift, turn the rudder, and start sailing. The ocean will do the rest. Chapter 6. Build a system, not just a goal for your entire life. You have been taught to set goals. At school, the goal was to get a good grade. In sports, the goal was to win the game. In your career, the goal is to get the promotion or the raise. The entire self-help industry is built on the foundation of goal setting. We are told to set SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And there is nothing inherently wrong with goals. A goal gives you a direction. It points your ship towards a destination on the horizon. But if you have ever achieved a major goal, you may have noticed a strange and unsettling phenomenon. The moment of triumph is fleeting. After the initial rush of excitement, an emptiness can set in. You ran the marathon, you crossed the finish line, you got the medal. And now what? This reliance on goals as the primary driver of our lives creates a series of hidden problems that can actually sabotage our long-term happiness and success. To truly get your life together in a sustainable way, you must shift your focus from the destination to the ship itself. You must stop obsessing about the goal and start falling in love with the system that will get you there. Let's examine the flaws in a purely goal-oriented mindset. The first and most significant problem is that goals defer your happiness. When you are fixated on a goal, you are essentially living in a constant state of pre-success failure. You create an implicit contract with yourself that says, I will be happy when I achieve X. I will be happy when I lose 20 pounds. I will be happy when I get out of debt. I will be happy when I publish my book. This mindset traps you in a cycle of striving and dissatisfaction. You are always looking towards the future for your fulfillment, which means you are constantly devaluing the present moment. The entire journey, the process where you spend 99% of your time, is framed as an obstacle to be overcome. It is a necessary evil on the path to the one moment of happiness at the finish line. This is a tragic way to live. A system-based approach flips this on its head. When you commit to a system, you are finding satisfaction in the process itself. The happiness is not at the finish line. The happiness is in the daily act of showing up. The happiness is in the process. The second problem with goals is what I call the yo-yo effect. What happens after you achieve your goal? Think about someone whose goal is to run a marathon. They spend months training. They follow a rigorous schedule. They are incredibly motivated by the upcoming race date. They run the marathon. It is a huge accomplishment. But then what? The goal is gone. The external motivator has vanished. For many, the training stops. The running habit that they so carefully built disintegrates because its purpose was tied entirely to that one-time event. They yo-yo back to their old sedentary habits. Now consider a person who has a system. Their system is not about a specific race. Their system is simply, I am a runner, I run 3 times a week because it clears my head and makes me feel good. They may sign up for a marathon, but the race is just a way to test their system. After the race is over, the system remains. They continue to run 3 times a week because that is their system. That is who they are. Their progress doesn't evaporate after the big event. The system ensures that their positive habits are a permanent part of their life, not a temporary push for a specific outcome. The third problem with a goals-first mentality is that it creates a false binary view of success. Either you achieve the goal and you are a success, or you do not and you are a failure. There is no in-between. This rigid framework completely ignores the value of the progress you made along the way. Imagine your goal was to lose 30 pounds, and you only lost 25. A goal-oriented mindset would label this as a failure. You missed the target. But a systems-oriented mindset would see the incredible success. You built a system of healthy eating and regular exercise that allowed you to lose 25 pounds. You have a new set of habits and a new lifestyle that will serve you for the rest of your life. The system is the real prize, not the number on the scale. When you fall in love with the system, you can't fail. Every day you follow your system is a win, regardless of the immediate results. So what exactly is a system? A system is simply the process you follow. It is the collection of your daily habits. It is your routine. If you are a writer, your goal is to write a book. Your system is the time you schedule each week to write, the way you outline your chapters, the process you have for editing. If you are an entrepreneur, your goal is to build a successful company. Your system is your process for testing ideas, marketing your products, and getting feedback from customers. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. The counterintuitive secret to achieving more is to forget about the goals and focus entirely on improving your systems. If you have a great system, the results will take care of themselves. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your system is your baseline. A good system makes good results the logical and almost inevitable conclusion. To build an effective system, we need to understand the fundamental science of how our habits work. All of our habits, good and bad, follow a simple four-step neurological loop. This loop, which has been studied extensively by neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists, consists of a cue, a craving, a routine, and a reward. Understanding this loop is like being given the owner's manual for your own brain. Once you understand the four levers, you can begin to consciously design your habits and build systems that work for you, not against you. The first step is the cue. The cue is the trigger. It is the little piece of information that tells your brain to initiate a habit. Cues can come in many forms. The most common cues are a specific time of day, like 7 a.m., which cues your habit of making coffee, a specific location, like sitting on your couch, which cues your habit of turning on the television, a preceding event, like finishing dinner, which cues your habit of wanting dessert, an emotional state, like feeling stressed, which cues your habit of biting your nails, or the presence of other people, like seeing your friends light up a cigarette, which cues your own urge to smoke. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment for these cues. A cue on its own is neutral. It is just a trigger. The second step is the craving. The craving is the motivational force behind every habit. This is a crucial point. You do not crave the habit itself. You crave the change in state that the habit delivers. You do not crave the act of smoking a cigarette. You crave the feeling of relief from stress that smoking provides. You do not crave the act of scrolling through social media. You crave the feeling of distraction from boredom or anxiety. You do not crave the act of turning on the television. You crave the feeling of being entertained and mentally disengaged. The craving is about the anticipated reward. It is the desire to change your internal state. Without a craving, there is no reason to act. The third step is the routine. The routine is the habit itself. It is the actual action you take. It can be a physical action, like drinking a cup of coffee. It can be a mental action, like the pattern of negative self-talk you fall into when you make a mistake. Or it can be an emotional action, like the way you lash out in anger when you feel threatened. The routine is the most obvious part of the habit, but it is just one piece of the four-part puzzle. The fourth and final step is the reward. The reward is the prize. It is the end goal of the habit. The reward serves two purposes. First, it satisfies your craving. The coffee delivers the feeling of alertness. The cigarette delivers the feeling of relief. The social media feed delivers the distraction. Second, and more importantly, the reward teaches your brain which actions are worth remembering for the future. When you experience a reward, your brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation. Your brain says, "Aha, that felt good. When I saw that cue and performed that routine, I got this reward. I should do this again next time." This positive feedback loop is what encodes the habit into your neurology. The cue, craving, routine, and reward become linked together until the process is completely automatic. It becomes a habit. This four-step loop is running constantly in your brain, driving almost everything you do. To build a system of good habits, our job is to consciously design this loop to our advantage. To create a good habit, we need to make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the routine easy, and the reward satisfying. To break a bad habit, we do the opposite. We make the cue invisible, the craving unattractive, the routine difficult, and the reward unsatisfying. This is the practical framework for building your personal systems. Let's break down how to do this for each step. Let's start with the first law of behavior change. Make the cue obvious. You cannot follow a system if you don't remember to do it. The most common reason we fail to stick to a new habit is simply that we forget. Our good intentions get lost in the busyness of the day. The most effective way to make a cue obvious is to redesign your environment. Your environment is the invisible hand that shapes your behavior. Most of us are living in an environment that is perfectly designed to encourage our bad habits. The cookies are on the counter. The television remote is on the coffee table. The phone is on the nightstand. To build a new system, you must become the architect of your own space. If your system involves reading more, don't just hope you'll remember. Make it obvious. Leave a book on your pillow. Put a book on the kitchen counter next to the coffee maker. If your system involves drinking more water, Fill up a large water bottle at the beginning of the day and place it in the middle of your desk. You won't be able to ignore it. If your system is about eating healthier, take the fruit out of the hidden crisper drawer in your refrigerator and put it in a beautiful bowl on the counter where you will see it all day. Do the opposite for your bad habits. Make the cues invisible. Take the cookies off the counter and put them on a high shelf in the back of the pantry. Better yet, don't bring them into the house at all. Put the television remote in a drawer instead of out in the open. Charge your phone in another room overnight, not on your bedside table. By curating your environment, you are making your desired actions the path of least resistance. You are making it easy to do the right thing and hard to do the wrong thing. The single most powerful technique for making a cue obvious is a method called habit stacking. The idea is to link your new desired habit to a pre-existing habit that you already do automatically every day. The formula is simple. After I, current habit, I will, new habit. The current habit becomes the cue for the new one. This is incredibly effective because you are piggybacking on a neural pathway that is already deeply ingrained in your brain. Let's look at some examples. After I pour my morning cup of coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. The coffee is the cue. After I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes. The act of taking off your shoes is the cue. After I sit down to dinner, I will say one thing I'm grateful for today. Dinner is the cue. After I brush my teeth at night, I will floss one tooth. Brushing your teeth is the cue. After I get into bed, I will put my phone on the charger across the room and pick up the book on my nightstand. Getting into bed is the cue. Take a few minutes to brainstorm your own habit stacks. Make a list of all the things you do every single day without fail. You wake up, you use the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, you make coffee, you eat lunch, you come home from work. Each of these is a potential cue, a solid foundation upon which you can stack a new positive habit. By creating a habit stack, you are no longer relying on motivation or memory. You are building an interconnected web of behaviors that pulls you forward automatically. You are building a system. The second law of behavior change is to make the craving attractive. We are more likely to adopt a habit if we find it appealing. One of the best ways to do this is to reframe how you think about the habit. Instead of telling yourself, I have to go for a run, which sounds like a chore, tell yourself it's time to build endurance and get some fresh air, which sounds like an opportunity. Instead of saying, I have to eat a salad, say, it's time to nourish my body with clean fuel. The words you use to describe your habits shape your perception of them. Another powerful technique is to use what's called temptation bundling. This means you pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. The formula is, I will only do thing I want to do while I am doing thing I need to do. For example, I will only listen to my favorite true crime podcast while I am exercising. Or I will only watch my favorite Netflix show while I am on the treadmill. Or I will only get a pedicure while I am catching up on work emails. By bundling a temptation with a habit you want to build, you make the habit more attractive. You start to look forward to the exercise or the emails because it means you get to enjoy your treat. You are hacking your own craving. The third law of behavior change is to make the routine easy. This connects directly back to the last chapter on the 1 degree shift. The easier a habit is, the more likely you are to do it. We are fundamentally wired to conserve energy. If a habit requires a lot of effort, we are unlikely to stick with it in the long run. You must reduce the friction associated with your good habits. Friction is the number of steps between you and the desired action. To build a good habit, you need to decrease friction. If you want to build a system of going to the gym in the morning, lay out your gym clothes, your water bottle, and your keys the night before. You have just removed several steps of friction from the process. If you want to build a system of eating a healthy breakfast, chop up your vegetables and prepare your ingredients the night before. You have made it incredibly easy to make the right choice in the morning. Conversely, you must increase the friction for your bad habits. If you want to watch less television, unplug it after each use and put the remote control in a drawer in another room. The extra effort required to plug it in and find the remote will often be enough to make you reconsider whether you really want to watch. If you want to stop wasting money on online shopping, delete your saved credit card information from your browser. Having to get up and find your wallet to type in the number every time adds a crucial layer of friction that gives you a moment to think twice. Become an engineer of your own life, constantly looking for ways to make the path to good habits a smooth downhill slope, and the path to bad habits a steep, rocky, uphill climb. And remember the 2-minute rule. When you are starting a new system, the routine should take less than 2 minutes to do. A new system of reading should start with reading 1 page. A new system of yoga should start with doing 1 sun salutation. A new system of cleaning should start with putting 1 dish away. The goal is not to achieve a result in the beginning. The goal is to master the art of showing up. You must standardize before you can optimize. You have to make the habit your new normal before you can worry about making it bigger or better. A system is not built in a day. It is built by mastering the first 2 minutes over and over again until it becomes automatic. The fourth and final law of behavior change is to make the reward satisfying. The reward is what closes the habit loop and tells your brain to repeat the process. The cardinal rule of rewards is that they must be immediate. Our brains evolved in an environment where immediate gratification was a key to survival. A berry that you eat now is worth more than the promise of a big hunt next week. This is why our bad habits are so easy to form. The reward is immediate, the pleasure of a donut is immediate. The distraction of social media is immediate. The reward for our good habits, on the other hand, is often delayed. The benefit of a workout is a healthier body in the future. The benefit of saving money is financial security years from now. This time gap is a huge problem. We must find a way to bring an immediate reward into the present moment for our good habits. One of the best ways to do this is to use a habit tracker. A habit tracker can be a simple calendar, a page in a notebook, or a digital app. Every time you perform your habit, you get to make a mark. You get to put a big, satisfying X on the calendar. This small act of tracking is a form of immediate gratification. It feels good. It provides a visual record of your progress. It creates a chain of successful days, and your new goal becomes simply, don't break the chain. This visual evidence of your progress is its own reward, and it keeps you motivated on the days when you don't feel like doing the work. You can also create your own small immediate rewards. Let's say you have a system for avoiding impulse purchases. Every time you go to the store and stick to your list, you could have a rule that you immediately transfer the money you saved into a special savings account earmarked for a vacation. Seeing that vacation fund grow is an immediate and satisfying reward for your good behavior. The key is to choose rewards that reinforce your desired identity. If you are trying to build a system of healthy eating, rewarding yourself with a bowl of ice cream is probably not a good idea. It sends a conflicting message. A better reward might be the feeling of satisfaction from nourishing your body, or perhaps treating yourself to a relaxing bath at the end of a healthy day. The reward should feel like a celebration of the person you are becoming. Building a system is not a one-time task. It is an ongoing process of refinement. You are like a scientist running experiments on yourself. You will design a system, and sometimes it won't work. That is okay. It is not a moral failing. It is a data point. When a habit fails to stick, you must go back to the 4-step loop and diagnose the problem. Was the cue not obvious enough? Was the routine too difficult? Was the reward unsatisfying? Then you make an adjustment and run the experiment again. Life will inevitably get in your way. You will have days where you fall off track. The most important thing to remember is the rule we discussed before. Never miss twice. Anyone can make a mistake. But what separates successful people from unsuccessful people is how quickly they get back on track. Do not let one slip-up turn into a downward spiral of guilt and self-criticism. If you eat a whole pizza on Friday night, it does not mean your healthy eating system is a failure. It means you are human. Just make sure you have a healthy breakfast on Saturday morning. Get back on the path immediately. The ultimate purpose of building a system is to solve the problems of your life at the root level. Your bad habits are not the problem. They are a symptom. They are often a clumsy attempt to deal with an underlying issue like stress, boredom, or loneliness. A good system does not just change your actions. It solves the underlying problem. A good system for managing stress, like a daily meditation practice, will naturally reduce your need for the bad habit of stress eating. A good system for building community and connection, like joining a club or a team, will naturally reduce your desire for the bad habit of mindlessly scrolling social media. Focus on building systems that address your fundamental needs in a healthy and sustainable way. Forget about the finish line. There is no finish line. Getting your life together is not a destination you arrive at. It is a system you live by. It is a continuous process of building, refining, and showing up. You are an architect and your life is your creation. Stop staring at the blueprint of your goals and start laying the bricks of your daily systems. Each small habit is a brick. Each day you follow your system, you add another brick to the foundation. And over time, without you even realizing it, you will have built a life that is strong, purposeful, and authentically your own. The goal is not to have a perfect life. The goal is to have a good system for living. Start building yours today. Chapter 7. Befriend your failures. You have begun to build. With a clear mind and a clean slate, you have laid the first stones of your new life. You have embraced the quiet power of the 1-degree shift. You have started to design systems, not just chase goals. You are turning the rudder of your ship day by day, and you are beginning to feel a sense of control and purpose. But there is a storm that you will inevitably have to sail through. It is a storm that sinks more ships than any other. It is the storm of failure. No matter how perfect your system is, no matter how small your steps are, you will stumble. You will make a mistake. You will fall short. You will have a day where your carefully constructed habits crumble. You will have a project at work that does not succeed. You will try something new, and it will not work out. In that moment, all your progress will feel like a lie. The old familiar voice of the inner critic will return with a vengeance. It will whisper, or perhaps scream, "I knew it. You are an imposter, you are a failure, you don't have what it takes." This moment is a critical crossroads. The path you choose here will determine whether you continue your journey or turn your ship around and sail back to the familiar, miserable port of your old life. To continue forward, you must learn the single most important skill for long-term growth. You must learn to befriend your failures. Failure is not the opposite of success. We are taught to think of success and failure as two opposing ends of a spectrum. You are either one or the other. This is a deeply flawed and destructive model. A more accurate model is to see failure as a vital and unavoidable ingredient in the recipe of success. It is not the opposite of success. It is a stepping stone on the path to success. Every successful person you have ever admired, every great invention you have ever used, and every beautiful piece of art you have ever seen is built upon a hidden mountain of failures. We only see the final, polished product. We do not see the thousands of discarded drafts, the hundreds of failed prototypes, and the countless moments of doubt and despair that came before it. We celebrate the victory, and we stigmatize the process. To get your life together, you must flip this script. You must learn to see your failures not as a final verdict on your worth, but as a valuable and necessary part of your education. You must learn to treat failure not as an enemy to be avoided at all costs, but as a wise and sometimes harsh teacher to be embraced and learned from. Why does failure hurt so much? The pain of failure is not just about the setback itself. It is about the meaning we attach to it. The pain is rooted in our ego and our sense of identity. When an effort fails, we do not say, "That strategy did not work." We say, "I failed." We internalize the event and allow it to define our very being. This is a direct consequence of the fixed mindset we will discuss shortly. We fuse our self-worth to our performance, so when our performance is lacking, our self-worth plummets. This is why a small failure can feel so catastrophic. It feels like a judgment on our entire character. It triggers a profound sense of shame, that same paralyzing emotion we talked about in the second chapter. Shame tells us to hide our failure, to pretend it never happened, to bury the evidence. And when we do this, we rob ourselves of the single most valuable gift that failure has to offer, the lesson. Let's reframe our understanding of failure. We will stop seeing it as a verdict and start seeing it for what it truly is. A source of information, a tool for growth, a catalyst for strength. Here are 3 new ways to think about failure. The first reframe is to see failure as data. Imagine you are a scientist in a laboratory. Your goal is to create a new compound. You have a hypothesis about which chemicals to mix. You run the experiment and it fails. The mixture explodes or turns into a smelly sludge. As a scientist, what do? Do you throw down your lab coat in disgust and declare, "I am a terrible scientist. I am a failure as a human being"? Of course not, that would be absurd. You would look at the result and say, "Interesting." You would take out your notebook. You would write down exactly what you did and exactly what happened. The failed experiment has not diminished you. It has informed you. It has given you a crucial piece of data. You now know that this specific combination of chemicals does not work. You have eliminated one possibility from an infinite field of options. You are now smarter than you were before the experiment. You are closer to the solution. Your failures in life are your lab experiments. When you try a new system for productivity and it falls apart after a week, it is not a sign of your inherent laziness. It is data. It is information telling you that this particular system was not a good fit for your personality or your lifestyle. When you ask for a raise and you are turned down, it is not a final judgment on your value. It is data. It is information about your company's current budget, or perhaps about how you need to better articulate your contributions. When you approach failure with the detached curiosity of a scientist, you strip it of its emotional power. It ceases to be a personal attack and becomes a neutral source of valuable information. Your new mantra when you fail should be this simple word: interesting. The second reframe is to see failure as a filter. Life is full of endless paths you could take. Endless career choices, relationship possibilities, and ways to spend your time. It can be paralyzing. Failure is life's powerful, built-in filtering system. It helps you discover which paths are not meant for you. Sometimes a failure is a sign that you are on the wrong road entirely. You might spend years striving to succeed in a particular career, only to face repeated setbacks and a constant feeling of swimming upstream. You might interpret this as a sign of your own inadequacy. But what if it is a sign that your unique talents and passions are simply not aligned with the demands of that profession? The failure is a gift. It is a big, flashing neon sign that says, "Wrong way, turn back." It is filtering out a life that would have ultimately made you miserable, even if you had managed to force yourself into a version of success. Many of the most successful and fulfilled people in the world attribute their happiness to a major failure that forced them to reevaluate their entire lives. The business that went bankrupt forced them to discover their true passion for teaching. The relationship that ended in heartbreak opened them up to finding a partner who was a much better fit. The script that was rejected by every studio led them to write the novel that was their true calling. When you fail, ask yourself this question: is this a failure of my strategy, or is this a failure of my direction? Is this a sign that I need to try harder, or is this a sign that I need to try something else? Sometimes failure is not a roadblock. It is a redirection. The third reframe is to see failure as a strength builder. Your muscles do not grow when you are sitting on the couch. They grow when you subject them to stress. When you lift a heavy weight, you are actually creating tiny microscopic tears in your muscle fibers. The failure of the muscle is the signal for the body to rebuild it, but this time, to rebuild it stronger than before. Your resilience, your character, and your wisdom are exactly the same. They do not grow when life is easy. They grow when you are tested. They grow when you fail. Every time you experience a setback and choose to get back up, you are creating tiny tears in your psychological muscle and rebuilding it stronger. This concept is beautifully captured by the writer Nassim Taleb, who coined the term anti-fragile. Something that is robust like a rock resists shock and stays the same. Something that is fragile like a glass vase breaks under shock. But something that is anti-fragile, like the human immune system, actually gets stronger from being exposed to stresses and shocks. After your body fights off a virus, it develops antibodies that make it more prepared for the next attack. Your goal in life is not to become robust, to simply withstand failure. Your goal is to become anti-fragile, to actually use failure to become better, stronger, and more capable than you were before. Each failure is an opportunity to inoculate yourself against future challenges. You learn that you can survive. You learn that you can recover. You learn that the world does not end, and this knowledge makes you less afraid to take risks in the future. Failure is the price you pay for your own strength. At the heart of our relationship with failure is a psychological concept developed by the Stanford University psychologist Carol Dweck. It is the distinction between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Understanding this distinction is one of the most transformative things you can do for your life. A person with a fixed mindset believes that their basic qualities, like their intelligence, their talents, and their personality, are simply fixed traits. They believe that you have a certain amount of intelligence, and that's it. In this view, every situation becomes an opportunity to measure and judge these fixed traits. If you have a fixed mindset, you are constantly trying to prove yourself. You want to look smart. You want to appear talented. The primary goal is to validate your inherent abilities. Because of this, failure is terrifying. A failure is not just a setback, it is a verdict. If you fail a test, it means you are not smart. If you fail at a sport, it means you are not athletic. It is a direct and permanent indictment of your core identity. This is why people with a fixed mindset tend to avoid challenges. A challenge carries the risk of failure, which in turn carries the risk of being exposed as fundamentally deficient. They tend to give up easily when faced with obstacles. They see effort as a bad thing, a sign that you must not be a natural at something. They ignore useful negative feedback and feel threatened by the success of others. The fixed mindset is a cage that keeps you trapped in a desperate attempt to protect your ego. A person with a growth mindset, on the other hand, believes that their abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. They believe that their brain is like a muscle that can get stronger with use. This simple belief changes everything. For a person with a growth mindset, the goal is not to prove how smart you are. The goal is to learn. Situations are not about judgment. They are about growth. In this view, failure is not only acceptable, it is desirable. Failure is not a sign of stupidity. It is a natural and necessary part of the learning process. It is a source of information about how to improve. People with a growth mindset embrace challenges because they see them as opportunities to stretch themselves and grow. They persist in the face of setbacks because they see effort as the path to mastery. They learn from criticism, and they find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. The growth mindset is the key that unlocks the cage. It gives you the freedom to pursue difficult things, to take risks, and to become a lifelong learner. The good news is that your mindset is not fixed. You can consciously cultivate a growth mindset. The first step is simply to become aware of your own fixed mindset voice. That is the voice in your head that reacts to a challenge with thoughts like, "I'm not good at this. What if I fail?" Or, "This is too hard." When you hear that voice, you can learn to talk back to it with a growth mindset voice. When the fixed mindset says, "I'm not good at this," the growth mindset replies, "What am I missing? What can I learn to get better at this?" When the fixed mindset says, "I made a mistake," the growth mindset says, "Mistakes are how I learn." When the fixed mindset says, "I'm going to give up," the growth mindset says, "I'm going to try a different strategy." When the fixed mindset says, "It's good enough," the growth mindset says, "Is this really my best work?" You can also change your relationship with the word "yet." Carol Dweck suggests adding the word "yet" to the end of your fixed mindset statements. When you find yourself thinking, "I don't understand this," change it to, "I don't understand this yet." When you think, "I can't do this," change it to, "I can't do this yet." This simple three-letter word creates a bridge between where you are and where you could be. It opens up the possibility of future growth and turns a dead-end statement into a statement of progress. You are not a finished product. You are a work in progress. The growth mindset is the belief in the power of yet. Now we move to the practical application. How do you actually build this new relationship with failure? How do you create a system for learning from your setbacks? Here are 4 concrete exercises you can use to transform your failures from painful endings into powerful new beginnings. The first exercise is to create your failure resume. We all have a regular resume. It is a document that lists all of our successes, our degrees, our job titles, our accomplishments. It is a highlight reel designed to impress others. Your failure. Resume is a private document for your eyes only that does the opposite. It is a list of your biggest failures. Take a piece of paper or open a new document on your computer. I want you to list at least 10 significant failures from your life. They could be academic failures, like failing a class. They could be professional failures, like getting fired from a job or a project that went horribly wrong. They could be personal failures, like a relationship that ended or a goal you gave up on. Be honest. Be specific. This might feel uncomfortable at first, but it is a powerful exercise in facing your history without shame. Now, for each failure you have listed, you are going to add 2 columns next to it. In the first column, you will write, "What I learned." In the second column, you will write, "How it helped me." Let's take an example. A failure might be, "I was fired from my first job out of college." In the "What I learned" column, you might write, "I learned that I need to be more proactive about asking for feedback instead of assuming everything is okay. I learned that I am not very good at or interested in administrative tasks." In the "How it helped me" column, you might write, "Getting fired was a huge wake-up call that forced me to be more self-aware in my career. It pushed me to find a job that was a much better fit for my creative skills, which I probably would not have done if I had stayed in that comfortable but boring role." Go through your entire list and do this for every single failure. What you will discover is extraordinary. You will see that your failures were not just random tragic events. They were your greatest teachers. They were the moments that shaped your character, taught you your most important lessons, and often redirected you to a better path. Your failure. Resume transforms your personal history from a source of shame into a source of wisdom and strength. It is a testament to your own resilience. The second exercise is to conduct a failure post-mortem. This is a tool borrowed from the worlds of business and engineering. When a big project fails or a system crashes, the team does not just shrug their shoulders and move on. They conduct a detailed post-mortem analysis to understand exactly what went wrong, so that they can prevent it from happening again. You can apply this same rigorous, non-emotional process to your own failures. The next time you experience a setback, whether it is a missed deadline, a broken habit, or a failed project, take out a notebook and answer these 5 questions. What was my intended outcome? Be specific about what you were trying to achieve. What was the actual outcome? Describe exactly what happened, without judgment or emotional language. Just the facts. What were the root causes of the gap between my intention and the reality? Use the 5 whys technique we discussed earlier to dig deep. Do not settle for surface-level answers like "I was lazy." Ask why you were lazy. Was it because you were burned out? Why were you burned out? Was it because the goal was not intrinsically motivating? Keep digging until you get to the core of the issue. What is the single most important lesson I can learn from this experience? Try to distill your analysis into one clear takeaway. What is one specific thing I will do differently next time? This is the most crucial step. You must translate your learning into a future action. This closes the loop and ensures that the failure leads to growth. A post-mortem turns a failure from a dead end into a productive feedback loop. It is a system for ensuring that you never make the same mistake twice. The third exercise is the practice of intentional failure. This might sound crazy, but one of the best ways to get over your fear of failure is to fail more often, on purpose, in low-stakes situations. This is about building your failure muscle. You are deliberately exposing yourself to the feeling of failing so that it loses its power over you. Choose an area of your life where you want to grow and intentionally set a goal that is just beyond your current reach. If you are learning a new language, try to have a 5-minute conversation with a native speaker, knowing that you will make dozens of mistakes. If you are learning to cook, try a very complex recipe, accepting that it might not turn out perfectly. If you are shy, give yourself the challenge of getting rejected once a day by making a small, polite request that is likely to be denied. The goal of these exercises is not to succeed. The goal is to experience the feeling of failure, the awkwardness, the imperfection, and to realize that you survive. You will learn that the world does not end, the sky does not fall. You will build up an immunity to the sting of failure, and this will make you braver and more willing to take the bigger, more meaningful risks in your life. The fourth and final practice is to consciously separate your identity from your outcomes. This is a daily mental discipline. It is about changing your language. You must stop saying, "I am a failure," and start saying, "I failed at this task." You must stop saying, "I am a terrible writer," and start saying, "I am not happy with this draft I wrote." This is not just a semantic game. It is a profound shift in perspective. Your actions and your identity are two separate things. An outcome is a temporary event. Your identity is your fundamental worth as a human being, and it is not up for debate. It is constant and it is unconditional. You can reinforce this separation by celebrating your effort instead of just your results. At the end of each day, instead of asking yourself, "Did I succeed?" ask yourself, "Did I put in a good effort? Did I stick to my system? Did I learn something new?" When you learn to praise the process, you detach your self-worth from the unpredictable nature of the outcomes. You can feel good about yourself even on the days when you fail, as long as you know you gave it your best effort and you are committed to learning from the experience. Your relationship with failure is the foundation of your ability to grow. If you fear failure, you will spend your life in the shallow end of the pool, never venturing into the deep water where the real treasures are found. You will be forever trapped by the need to look good, and you will sacrifice the opportunity to actually be good. By befriending your failures, you give yourself the greatest gift of all, the gift of permission. Permission to be imperfect, permission to be a beginner, permission to try, to stumble, to learn, and to get back up again. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who have never failed. They are the ones who have failed the most. They are the ones who understand that failure is not a sign to stop. It is a sign to learn. It is a sign to adjust your course. It is a sign that you are in the arena, that you are daring greatly, that you are truly alive. So go out there. Try something hard. Risk making a mistake. And when you inevitably fail, do not despair. Look your failure in the eye, and with the calm curiosity of a scientist say, "Interesting. Now, what can you teach me?" Chapter 8. Fuel the engine. Sleep, move, eat. Imagine you have just been gifted the most magnificent, high-performance vehicle in the world. It is a masterpiece of engineering, capable of incredible speed, precision, and endurance. It represents your mind, your ambition, and your potential. You have also been given a perfect map and a state-of-the-art navigation system. This is your system, your plan, your hard-won clarity about where you want to go. You have everything you need to embark on the journey of a lifetime. You get into the driver's seat, you turn the key and you put your foot on the accelerator. But the car sputters, it coughs, it moves forward in a series of jarring, unreliable lurches. It has no power. It feels sluggish and unresponsive. You look at the fuel gauge and it is empty. You check under the hood and the engine is caked with grime. The oil is a thick sludge. The tires are flat. The magnificent machine is being crippled by a lack of basic maintenance. This is the state that most of us are in when we try to get our lives together. We spend all of our time focused on the driver and the map, on our mindset and our plans. But we completely neglect the vehicle itself. We neglect our own bodies. We treat our physical health not as the fundamental prerequisite for everything else, but as an afterthought, a luxury to be attended to only when we have extra time. This is a catastrophic error in judgment. You cannot think your way out of a problem that your body is creating. Your mental and physical health are not two separate things. They are two sides of the same coin. Your brain is a physical organ that lives inside your physical body. Its ability to focus, to learn, to regulate emotions, and to feel motivated is directly and profoundly dependent on the physical environment you provide for it. Getting your life together is not just an intellectual exercise. It is a biological one. Before you can build your dreams, you must first fuel the engine. This chapter is about the three pillars of that fuel. The non-negotiable foundational trinity of sleep, movement, and nutrition. Let's start with the most underrated and chronically neglected pillar of them all: sleep. Our modern culture treats sleep as a sign of weakness. We glorify the hustle, the grind, the all-nighter. We have a toxic belief that sleep is wasted time, a period of inactivity that could be better spent being productive. We brag about how little sleep we can get by on, as if it were a badge of honor. This is, to put it bluntly, a form of collective insanity. Sleep is not a luxury. It is not an indulgence. It is a non-negotiable biological necessity, as essential for your survival as air, water, and food. To treat sleep as an enemy is to declare war on your own biology. And it is a war you will always lose. When you sleep, your body is not inactive. It is performing a series of complex and vital maintenance tasks that are essential for your physical and mental health. The most critical of these tasks is the nightly cleaning of your brain. During the day, as your brain cells work hard, they produce metabolic waste products, a kind of biological garbage. One of these waste products is a toxic protein called beta amyloid. In a well-rested brain, a remarkable system called the glymphatic system kicks into gear during deep sleep. You can think of it as your brain's dedicated janitorial crew. It flushes cerebrospinal fluid through your brain, collecting all the toxic waste, including that beta amyloid, and clearing it out. This is a critical process. The accumulation of beta amyloid in the brain is one of the primary hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. When you consistently deprive yourself of sleep, you are preventing the janitorial crew from doing its job. You are allowing toxic garbage to pile up in your brain night after night. This is not a metaphor, it is a physiological reality. A sleep-deprived brain is a dirty, clogged, and inefficient brain. Sleep is also essential for learning and memory. During the day, you take in a huge amount of new information, but this information is fragile. It is stored in a temporary, short-term memory bank in your brain. During sleep, your brain replays the neural patterns of the day's events, transferring important information from the fragile short-term storage to the more secure, long-term storage in your cortex. This is called memory consolidation. It is like taking all the files you have saved to your computer's desktop during the day and filing them away neatly into the correct folders on your hard drive. Without adequate sleep, this process is severely impaired. You might be able to pull an all-nighter to cram for an exam, but you will have forgotten most of that information a few days later because it was never properly filed away. A good night's sleep is one of the most powerful learning aids in existence. Perhaps most importantly for our journey of getting our lives together, sleep is the master regulator of our emotions. Remember the amygdala from our chapter on the 1-degree shift, the brain's primitive alarm system. Sleep is what keeps the amygdala in check. The prefrontal cortex, the more logical, rational part of your brain, acts as a brake on the emotional, reactive amygdala. Sleep is what strengthens the connection between these two areas. When you are sleep-deprived, that connection breaks down. The amygdala is let off its leash. It becomes hyper-reactive. This is why, after a poor night's sleep, you find yourself feeling anxious, irritable, and emotionally volatile. Small frustrations that you would normally brush off feel like major catastrophes. You have a shorter fuse. You are more likely to have a negative outlook on life. Trying to be positive and proactive when you are running on a sleep deficit is like trying to sail a ship in a hurricane. You are at the mercy of your own emotional storm. If you do nothing else to improve your life, focusing on getting consistent, high-quality sleep will have a more profound and wide-ranging positive impact than almost any other change you can make. So how do we do it? How do we build a system for better sleep in a world that seems designed to destroy it? The answer lies in building a consistent and sacred pre-sleep routine. You must treat the last hour of your day as a critical transition period. You cannot expect to go from a state of high-stress, high-stimulation activity to a state of deep, restful sleep in a matter of minutes. You must guide your brain gently into a state of rest. This is your power-down hour. The first and most important rule of the power-down hour is the absolute elimination of screens. This means no phone, no tablet, no computer, and no television. The blue light emitted by these screens is a powerful signal to your brain. It mimics the light of the daytime sky. When this light hits your eyes, it suppresses the production of melatonin, the key hormone that tells your body it is time to sleep. Using your phone in bed is the biological equivalent of shining a flashlight in your own eyes and screaming, "It's morning," at your brain. Beyond the blue light, the content we consume on these devices is designed to be stimulating. The endless scroll of social media, the anxiety-inducing news headlines, the urgent work emails, they all activate our stress response and put our minds into a state of high alert. This is the exact opposite of what we need for sleep. For your power down hour, you must create a screen-free sanctuary. Charge your phone in another room. If you use it as an alarm clock, buy a cheap, old-fashioned alarm clock. This one change will be revolutionary. So what do you do during this screen-free hour? You fill it with calming, restorative activities. Read a physical book, preferably fiction or something that is not work-related. Take a warm bath or shower. The rise and subsequent fall in your body temperature is a powerful trigger for sleepiness. Listen to calming music or a relaxing podcast. Do some light stretching or gentle yoga. Write in a journal, performing the brain dump we discussed earlier to get all your worries out of your head and onto the paper. The specific activities do not matter as much as the principle. The goal is to create a consistent ritual that signals to your body and mind that the day is over and it is time to prepare for rest. The second key to better sleep is to create a perfect sleep environment. Your bedroom should be a cave. It should be three things: cool, dark, and quiet. The ideal temperature for sleep is surprisingly cool, typically between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit, or around 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. A cool room helps to lower your core body temperature, which is a necessary step for initiating sleep. Your bedroom should also be as dark as possible. Even small amounts of light from a street lamp or an electronic device can disrupt your sleep architecture. Invest in blackout curtains. Cover up any small LED lights on your electronics with a piece of electrical tape. Finally, your bedroom should be quiet. If you live in a noisy environment, consider using a white noise machine or a simple fan to drown out disruptive sounds. Your bedroom should be for two things only: sleep and intimacy. It is not an office, it is not a movie theater, it is not a restaurant. When you train your brain to associate your bed with sleep and only sleep, you will find it much easier to drift off when you lie down. The final piece of the puzzle is consistency. Your body loves a routine. It has an internal 24-hour clock called the circadian rhythm. This rhythm thrives on consistency. You should aim to go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every single day. Yes, even on the weekends. It might be tempting to sleep in on Saturday, but this can have a similar effect to giving yourself a mild case of jet lag. It throws your internal clock out of sync and can make it much harder to wake up on Monday morning. If there is one single thing to be consistent with, it is your wake-up time. Even if you have a poor night's sleep, getting up at your regular time will help to keep your circadian rhythm on track and improve your chances of a better night's sleep the following night. The second pillar of your physical foundation is movement. Just like sleep, our modern view of exercise is often distorted. We see it as a punishment for what we ate. We see it as a chore we have to do to lose weight or to look a certain way. We associate it with grueling, painful sessions at a gym. While exercise is certainly important for weight management, this narrow view causes us to miss its most powerful and immediate benefits. The most profound effects of movement are not on your body, but on your brain. Regular physical activity is one of the most effective antidepressants, anti-anxiety treatments, and cognitive enhancers available to us. When you move your body, you initiate a cascade of incredible neurochemical events. Your brain releases a cocktail of feel-good neurotransmitters, including endorphins, which are the body's natural painkillers and mood elevators. It also releases serotonin and dopamine, which are critical for mood regulation, motivation, and focus. This is why a simple walk can completely change your emotional state. You are literally changing your brain chemistry, but the benefits go even deeper. Exercise also stimulates the production of a miraculous protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Dr. John Ratey, a professor at Harvard Medical School, famously calls BDNF miracle grow for the brain. BDNF is a protein that encourages the growth of new brain cells and strengthens the connections between existing ones. It is crucial for learning, memory, and higher-level thinking. Regular movement is like a fertilizer for your brain, helping it to grow stronger, faster, and more resilient. At the same time, movement is one of the most effective ways to burn off the excess stress hormones, like cortisol, that build up in our bodies during a stressful day. A workout can act as a circuit breaker for the stress cycle, leaving you feeling calmer and more centered. So how do we build a system for movement especially when we feel unmotivated and behind. The first step is to completely shatter the myth that exercise has to be a formal, hour-long session at a gym. Any movement is good movement. The goal is to weave more physical activity into the fabric of your day. Start by embracing the power of walking. Walking is the most accessible, underrated and sustainable form of exercise on the planet. A brisk 30-minute walk can provide all of the brain-boosting benefits we have just discussed. If 30 minutes feels like too much, start with 10. The key is to make it a non-negotiable part of your day, just like brushing your teeth. You can habit stack it. Walk for 10 minutes immediately after lunch. Or walk for 10 minutes as soon as you get home from work to create a clear separation between your work life and your home life. The second step is to find a form of movement that you genuinely enjoy. The best exercise program in the world is useless if you hate it, because you will not stick with it. This connects back to our chapter on intrinsic motivation. You need to find your joyful movement. Do you love to dance? Put on your favorite music and have a 5-minute dance party in your living room. Did you love to play sports as a kid? Join a recreational league for soccer, basketball, or softball. Do you feel most at peace in nature? Make hiking or cycling your go-to activity. Do you enjoy a sense of calm and strength? Try yoga or Tai Chi. The goal is to reframe movement not as a chore but as a form of play. It should be something you look forward to, a gift you give to yourself. Experiment with different activities until you find one that does not feel like work. The third step, especially when you are starting out, is to use the 5-minute rule. On the days when you have zero motivation, when the couch is calling your name, make a deal with yourself. You will just start. You will put on your shoes and you will move your body for just 5 minutes. Anyone can do anything for 5 minutes. What you will often find is that after 5 minutes you feel a little bit better. Your energy starts to lift, and you might just decide to keep going for another 5 or even 10 minutes. The hardest part is always getting started. The 5-minute rule is a simple trick to get you over that initial hump of inertia. It is a perfect example of a 1-degree shift. The third and final pillar of our foundation is nutrition. The food you eat is quite literally the raw material that your body uses to build and power every single cell, including your brain cells. You cannot build a high-performance machine out of garbage. Yet, many of us are fueling our bodies with a steady diet of highly processed, nutrient-poor foods that are actively working against our mental and physical health. Just as with exercise, the goal here is not perfection or extreme restriction. The goal is to gradually and consistently shift the balance in favor of real, whole foods. One of the most exciting and rapidly growing areas of medical research is the study of the gut-brain axis. Scientists are discovering that your gut is, in many ways, your second brain. Your gastrointestinal tract is lined with hundreds of millions of neurons, and it is home to a complex ecosystem of trillions of bacteria, known as your gut microbiome. This microbiome is in constant communication with your brain. In fact, a huge proportion of your body's serotonin, a key mood-regulating neurotransmitter, is produced in your gut. The health of your gut bacteria has a direct and profound impact on your mood, your anxiety levels, and even your cognitive function. What do these bacteria eat? They eat what you eat. A diet high in processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats creates an environment where unhealthy bacteria can thrive, leading to inflammation and a negative impact on your mood. A diet rich in fiber from a wide variety of plants, on the other hand, feeds the healthy bacteria, which in turn produce beneficial compounds that reduce inflammation and support positive mental health. Eating a healthy diet is not just about feeding your body, it is about feeding your second brain. So how do we improve our nutrition without feeling overwhelmed by complicated diets and restrictive rules? We start with simple, powerful heuristics. The first and most important principle is to eat real food. What is real food? It is food that your great-grandmother would recognize. It is food that comes from the ground, from a tree, or from an animal. It is food that does not have a long list of unpronounceable ingredients on its label. An apple is real food. A fruit-flavored breakfast cereal that has been fortified with 12 vitamins is not. A piece of chicken is real food. A chicken nugget that has been processed and reconstituted is not. If you can make just one shift in your thinking, let it be this. Prioritize eating single ingredient, whole foods as much as possible. The second principle is to focus on adding, not subtracting. Restrictive diets often fail because they create a sense of deprivation, which can lead to cravings and binging. A more sustainable approach is to focus on adding more of the good stuff into your diet. This is the crowding out method. Instead of saying, "I can't have chips," ask yourself, "How can I add one more serving of vegetables to my day?" Maybe you add a handful of spinach to your eggs in the morning. Maybe you have a side salad with your lunch. Maybe you snack on some baby carrots in the afternoon. By focusing on adding nutrient-dense foods, you will naturally have less room and less desire for the processed junk. A simple, actionable goal is the one-thing rule. Just try to add one more piece of fruit or one more serving of vegetables to your day. That is it. It is a small, achievable win that can build momentum. The third principle is to prioritize hydration. Your brain is about 75% water. Even mild dehydration can have a significant negative impact on your focus, your memory, and your mood. Many of the times we feel sluggish, foggy, or irritable, we are simply dehydrated. A simple and powerful system is the water first rule. Before every meal, and before you reach for a cup of coffee or a sugary drink, drink a full glass of water. This ensures you are staying hydrated throughout the day and can also help with managing your appetite. Keep a large, reusable water bottle on your desk at all times as a constant visual cue. These three pillars, sleep, movement, and nutrition, are not separate. They are a deeply interconnected, self-reinforcing system. When you get a good night's sleep, you have more energy to exercise, and you make better food choices because your appetite-regulating hormones are in balance. When you move your body during the day, you reduce your stress levels, and you sleep more deeply at night. When you eat a diet of real, whole foods, you provide your body with the nutrients it needs for quality sleep and sustained energy for movement. It is a virtuous cycle. A positive change in any one of these areas will create an updraft that lifts the other two. The work of getting your life together is hard. It requires mental energy, emotional resilience, and consistent effort. You are asking your brain to learn new things, to build new habits, and to overcome old patterns. To give yourself a fighting chance of success, you must provide your brain with the fundamental biological resources it needs to do that work. You must fuel the engine. This is not about achieving a perfect body or running a marathon. It is about treating your physical self with enough respect to give your mind a stable and supportive platform from which to operate. Stop treating your health as a future goal and start treating it as a daily practice. It is the foundation upon which everything else you want to build will rest. Choose one small thing you can do today. Go to bed 15 minutes earlier. Go for a 10-minute walk. Eat one apple. Your journey to getting your life together does not just happen in your mind, it starts in your body. Today. Chapter 9. Curate your circle. You are the architect of your life. You have cleared the ground, you have drawn your own blueprints, and you have started to lay the foundation brick by brick. You have embraced the slow, steady power of the 1-degree shift. You have learned to see failure as a teacher, not a tyrant. You are fueling your body with the sleep, movement, and nutrition it needs to do the hard work of change. You are building a powerful, self-contained system for growth. But there is one final, crucial element that we have not yet addressed. You are not building this life in a vacuum. You are building it in a world filled with other people, and the people you choose to surround yourself with will act as either a powerful tailwind that speeds you on your journey or a relentless headwind that pushes you back and makes every single step a struggle. You cannot build a positive life in a negative environment. To truly get your life together, you must become a conscious and deliberate curator of your social circle. This is not about being callous or selfish. It is about understanding one of the most fundamental laws of human nature. You are a product of your environment, and the most powerful part of that environment is the people in it. The renowned motivational speaker Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Take a moment to let that sink in. Think about the 5 people you interact with most frequently. Your partner, your closest friends, your family members, your key colleagues at work. Now consider their attitudes, their health habits, their ambitions, their financial discipline, and their general level of happiness. Rohn's assertion is that if you were to average out all of those qualities, the result would look remarkably similar to your own life. This is not a mystical concept. It is a well-documented phenomenon known as social contagion. Ideas, behaviors, emotions, and even physical outcomes like obesity and happiness can spread through a social network like a virus. A groundbreaking study conducted by researchers Nicholas Christakis and James Fowler and published in the New England Journal of Medicine tracked a network of over 12,000 people for 32 years. They found that a person's chances of becoming obese increased by a staggering 57% if they had a friend who became obese. The influence did not stop there. It spread to friends of friends, and even to friends of friends of friends. The same effect has been found for smoking, drinking, and happiness. If a close friend who lives within a mile of you becomes happy, it increases the probability that you will be happy by 25%. Your social circle is not just a group of people you hang out with. It is a living, breathing system that is constantly shaping your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions, often in ways you do not even perceive. This influence operates through a few key mechanisms. The first and most powerful is the normalization of behavior. When you are surrounded by people who all share a certain set of habits, those habits come to feel normal and even desirable. If all of your friends complain about their jobs constantly, then complaining about your job will feel like a normal, acceptable way to behave. The idea of taking proactive steps to change your career might seem strange or even naive. If your family's primary way of bonding is through eating large quantities of unhealthy food, then this behavior becomes normalized as a form of love and connection. Trying to eat healthy can feel like a rejection of the family dynamic itself. If your colleagues are all cynical and unmotivated, their apathy will be contagious. Over time, your own ambition and optimism will be eroded by the constant exposure to their negativity. You will start to believe that being cynical is just being realistic. The people around you set the baseline for what is considered normal. Your brain, with its deep-seated need to fit in and belong, will unconsciously and automatically start to adjust your own behavior to match that baseline. The second mechanism is the subtle transfer of standards. The people you spend time with dictate the standards you set for yourself. If you are surrounded by people who are content with mediocrity, it becomes very easy for you to settle for mediocrity in your own life. There is no one to challenge you, no one to push you, no one to hold you to a higher standard. But if you surround yourself with people who are constantly learning, growing, and striving to be better, you will find your own standards beginning to rise. Their ambition becomes a source of inspiration, not intimidation. Their discipline becomes a benchmark for your own. When you see your friends getting up early to work on their side hustle or training for a race, it recalibrates your own sense of what is possible. It makes your own excuses seem less valid. They raise the bar, and you will find yourself unconsciously reaching to meet it. The third mechanism is the direct influence on your thinking. Your conversations shape your reality. If your social circle spends most of its time talking about celebrity gossip, reality television, and the trivial dramas of other people's lives, your mind will be filled with this low-value information. But if your circle discusses new ideas, books, business opportunities, and personal growth, your mind will be fertile ground for new possibilities. The questions your friends ask you can change the trajectory of your life. A friend who asks, "So what did you watch on TV last night?" is leading you down a very different mental path than a friend who asks, "So what have you been learning lately?" One conversation keeps you stagnant, the other one pulls you forward. We absorb the thought patterns of the people we spend time with. Their limiting beliefs can become our limiting beliefs. Their optimism can become our optimism. Given the immense power of our social environment, it is clear that we cannot afford to be passive about it. We must become active gardeners of our social lives. This means we must learn to do two things. First, we must learn to lovingly and compassionately prune the relationships that are holding us back. Second, we must learn to proactively seek out and cultivate the relationships that will help us grow. Let's start with the difficult but necessary task of pruning. This is often the most emotionally challenging part of getting your life together. It can bring up feelings of guilt, loyalty, and fear. But if you have a plant in your garden that is diseased and is draining the nutrients from the soil, you must remove it to protect the health of the rest of the garden. The same is true for your relationships. To make this process less emotional and more objective, we can use a simple but powerful framework. We can categorize our relationships into 3 groups: radiators, drains, and neutrals. Radiators are the people who radiate energy, positivity, and warmth. When you spend time with a radiator, you leave the interaction feeling better than you did before. You feel energized, inspired, supported, and optimistic. They are the friends who celebrate your wins with genuine joy. They are the ones who listen to your dreams and say, "That's amazing, how can I help?" They challenge you in a constructive way. They believe in your potential even when you do not. They are a source of positive contagion. They are the people who raise your average. Drains are the opposite. When you spend time with a drain, you leave the interaction feeling exhausted, depleted, and heavy. They are the chronic complainers who see the negative in every situation. They are the gossipers who thrive on the drama and misfortune of others. They are the victims who are never responsible for their own problems. They are the subtle underminers who greet your good news with a backhanded compliment or a story about how your success makes them feel bad. They may not be malicious people. They are often just trapped in their own negativity. But their effect on you is toxic. They are a source of negative contagion. They lower your average. Neutrals are the people who do not have a strong effect on you one way or the other. The interaction is pleasant enough, but it does not add or subtract much from your energy. Many of our casual acquaintances and colleagues fall into this category. Your mission is to conduct a social circle audit. Take out a piece of paper and make 3 columns: radiators, drains, and neutrals. Now go through the list of the 10 or 15 people you spend the most time with and place each person into one of these columns. Be brutally honest with yourself. The key criteria is not how much you like the person or how long you have known them. The key criteria is how you feel after you interact with them. Your body knows the truth. Pay attention to the physical sensations. Does your chest feel open and light after talking to them, or does it feel tight and constricted? Do you feel a sense of expansion or a sense of contraction? This list is your new social map. Once you have your map, the strategy is simple. Maximize your time with the radiators, minimize your time with the drains, and be intentional about your time with the neutrals. Dealing with the drains is the hardest part. The first thing to understand is that you do not necessarily need to have a dramatic, confrontational breakup with every drain in your life. Pruning can be a gentle and gradual process. It is about creating distance. It is about setting boundaries. A boundary is not a wall you build to keep people out. It is a line you draw to protect your own well-being. One of the most effective ways to create distance is to simply reduce your availability. You do not have to answer every phone call. You are allowed to let it go to voicemail. You do not have to say yes to every invitation. The phrase, "I'm sorry I can't make it," is a complete sentence. You do not owe anyone a long, elaborate excuse. When you are with a drain, you can set a time limit. You can say, "It's great to see you. I've only got an hour before I have to run." This gives you a clear exit and prevents the interaction from dragging on and depleting your energy. Another powerful boundary is to refuse to participate in their negative patterns. When a drain starts to complain, you do not have to join in. You can change the subject. Or you can ask a solution-oriented question like, "That sounds really tough. What do you think you're going to do about it?" This often stops the complaining cycle in its tracks, because the goal of the complainer is not to find a solution, but to marinate in the problem. When a drain starts to gossip, you can simply say, "I'm really trying to focus on more positive things lately." You are not judging them. You are simply stating your own personal policy. Over time, as you consistently refuse to engage in their preferred mode of interaction, they will naturally start to seek out other people who are more willing to participate. The relationship will often fade away on its own, without the need for a major confrontation. What if the drain is a close family member or a lifelong friend? Cutting them out of your life might not be a realistic or desirable option. In these cases, your strategy is one of emotional detachment. You must learn to love them from a distance. This means you can be in their presence physically, but you do not allow their negativity to penetrate your own emotional space. You can listen to their complaints with compassion, but you do not absorb them. Imagine you are wearing an invisible raincoat, and their negativity is just water rolling off your back. You recognize that their negativity is about them, not about you. It is a reflection of their own internal state. You can be a supportive presence without becoming a dumping ground for their toxic emotions. This is a difficult skill to learn, but it is an essential one for protecting your own peace. Now we turn to the exciting part: actively cultivating a circle of radiators. It is not enough to just remove the negative influences. You must intentionally and proactively seek out the positive ones. This can feel daunting, especially if you are an introvert or if you feel like you are starting from scratch, but it is a skill that can be learned. Here is a systematic approach to finding your people. The first step is to get clear on who you are looking for. Who is your ideal radiator? What are their qualities? Are they ambitious? Are they creative? Are they kind? Are they adventurous? What are their interests? The clearer you are on the type of people you want to attract, the easier it will be to find them. The second step is to go where these people gather. You are not going to find your tribe sitting on your couch. You have to put yourself in environments where you are likely to cross paths with like-minded individuals. The key is to follow your own genuine interests. If you want to meet people who are passionate about learning, take a class at a local college or community center. If you want to meet people who are health conscious, join a running club, a yoga studio, or a hiking group. If you want to meet people who are creative, take a pottery class, join a writer's workshop, or volunteer at a local theater. If you want to meet people who are service-oriented, volunteer for a cause you care about. When you pursue your own passions, you will naturally be surrounded by other people who share those passions. This makes connection much more organic and effortless. You already have a built-in topic of conversation. The third step is to be a radiator yourself. The law of attraction is real in a social sense. You attract who you are. If you want to be surrounded by positive, supportive, and interesting people, you must strive to be a positive, supportive, and interesting person. Be a good listener. Ask thoughtful questions. Be genuinely curious about other people's lives. Celebrate their successes. Be the friend you wish you had. When you radiate positive energy, you will act as a magnet for other radiators. The fourth step is to take small social risks. Building new friendships requires a degree of vulnerability. You have to be willing to make the first move. If you have a good conversation with someone in your yoga class, do not just hope you will see them again. At the end of the class, say, "I really enjoyed talking to you. Would you be interested in getting a coffee sometime?" The worst they can do is say no. And if they do, it is not a rejection of your entire being. It is just a sign that they are not the right fit or the right time. But if they say yes, you have just planted the seed of a new positive relationship. You have to be willing to be the one who initiates, the one who organizes, and the one who follows up. As you build this new circle, you might want to consider creating what is known as a mastermind group. This concept was popularized by Napoleon Hill in his classic book, Think and Grow Rich. A mastermind group is a small group of people, typically 3 to 5, who meet regularly to support each other in achieving their goals. It is a formal, structured circle of radiators. The members of the group share their challenges, brainstorm solutions, and hold each other accountable. A mastermind group is a powerful accelerator for personal growth. It provides you with a dedicated board of advisors for your own life. You get the benefit of multiple perspectives on your problems, and you have a built-in support system that will not let you give up on yourself. You can form a mastermind group with a few like-minded friends, or you can find online communities dedicated to connecting people for this purpose. The journey of curating your circle is a delicate balance. It is a balance between loyalty to others and loyalty to your own growth. It is a balance between compassion and self-preservation. It will require courage. It will require you to have difficult conversations. It will require you to step out of your comfort zone. But the payoff is immeasurable. To be surrounded by people who believe in you, who challenge you, and who celebrate your growth is one of the greatest blessings in life. It makes the entire process of getting your life together not just easier, but more joyful. Let's end this chapter with a powerful visualization. Imagine your life is a garden. For years, you have let this garden be tended by others. You have allowed weeds to grow unchecked. You have allowed diseased plants to drain the life from the soil. You have let the garden become a reflection of other people's priorities, not your own. Now you have decided to become the head gardener. You have put on your gloves. You have started to pull the weeds of negativity, one by one. It is hard work, and your hands are sore. You are carefully planting new seeds of positivity, seeds that align with your true values. You are watering them with your attention and your energy. You are creating a space that is beautiful, healthy, and vibrant. This is what it means to curate your circle. It is the sacred and ongoing work of tending to the garden of your life. It is you, finally taking responsibility for the social ecosystem in which you live. Your relationships will either be the soil that nourishes your growth or the rocks that block your path. The choice of who you let into your garden is one of the most important choices you will ever make. Choose wisely. Chapter 10. The finish line is a myth. We have come a long way on this journey together. We started in a place that may have felt dark and overwhelming. A place of paralysis, where the world seemed to be sprinting ahead while you were stuck in the mud. We stood together in the blinding glare of the great comparison trap, and we learned to see it for the illusion that it is. We found the courage to take a gentle, honest inventory of our lives, to place that you are here pin on our own personal map, not with shame, but with a quiet acceptance. We then turned our gaze inward, excavating our own authentic definition of a win, forging a compass from our true values, not the borrowed dreams of the world. We cleared the ground, decluttering the physical, mental, and emotional spaces that were holding us back, creating a clean slate full of potential. From there, we began to build. We rejected the fantasy of the heroic leap and embraced the profound, quiet magic of the 1-degree shift. We learned to design systems, not just chase goals, building a foundation of habits that pull us forward automatically. We reframed our relationship with failure, learning to see it not as a final verdict, but as a wise teacher. We tended to the vehicle of our body, understanding that sleep, movement, and nutrition are the non-negotiable fuel for our journey. And we became conscious curators of our social circle, surrounding ourselves with the people who lift us up and lovingly pruning the connections that hold us down. You now have the tools, you have the map, you have the compass, you have the system. And now, as we approach the end of this book, we must address the final and most persistent illusion of all, the illusion of the finish line. There is a part of us that still clings to the idea that getting your life together is a destination, a magical place we will one day arrive at, where all of our problems will be solved, all of our habits will be perfect, and we will live in a state of perpetual, blissful contentment. We imagine a day when we will finally be able to say, "I have arrived, I am done, I have made it." This is a dangerous fantasy. It is the final trap that can undermine all of our progress. The truth is this: there is no finish line. There is no point of arrival. The work is never done, and this is not a cause for despair. It is the very source of a deep and lasting joy. The purpose of this entire journey was never to reach a destination. The purpose was to fall in love with the process of walking the path. The goal was not to have a perfect life. The goal was to become a person who is capable of navigating the beautiful, messy, and unpredictable reality of life with grace, resilience, and a sense of purpose. When you are fixated on a finish line, you are living for the future. You are putting your happiness on hold until you reach that imagined endpoint. But what happens when you get there? As we discussed earlier, the joy of achieving a goal is often surprisingly fleeting. The real sustainable satisfaction comes from the process itself. It comes from the feeling of making progress. It comes from the pride of showing up for yourself, day after day. It comes from the small daily victories of keeping the promises you make to yourself. When you shift your focus from the finish line to the path, everything changes. The feeling of being behind dissolves. How can you be behind in a race that has no end? The only thing that matters is the direction you are heading and the quality of the steps you are taking right here, right now. This final chapter is not about learning a new tool. It is about integrating all the tools you have already learned into a coherent philosophy for living. It is about weaving them together into a lifelong practice. A practice of continuous, gentle, and intentional growth. Let's revisit the core concepts and see how they fit together as a unified system for a life in motion. The foundation of this system is your North Star, your personal definition of a win. This is not a static document that you create once and then put in a drawer. It is a living compass. You must return to it regularly. At least once a month, take some time to review your core values. Ask yourself, are these still true for me? Is my life as I am living it today a reflection of these values? As you grow and change, your values may subtly shift in their priority. A value of adventure might be primary in your 20s, while a value of stability might become more important in your 40s. This is not a sign of inconsistency, it is a sign of growth. Your compass requires regular calibration to ensure you are still heading in the direction that is true for you now. Your systems and habits are the engine of your ship. The work of building and refining these systems is never over. You will use the 4 laws of behavior change, making it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, not just to build new habits, but to constantly improve the ones you have. You will notice that a habit that once served you is no longer effective. You will discover a new, better way of doing things. You will become a lifelong tinkerer, a gentle optimizer of your own daily routines. You will approach your habits with the curiosity of a scientist, always asking, how could this be just 1% better? This process of continuous improvement, known in Japanese business philosophy as Kaizen, is where the deep satisfaction lies. It is not about reaching a state of perfection. It is about being engaged in a perpetual process of refinement. Your relationship with failure is your resilience training. You will not reach a point in your life where you no longer fail. In fact, if you are truly living a life of growth, you should be failing more often as you take on bigger and more interesting challenges. But your response to failure will be different. You will no longer see it as a catastrophe. You will see it as a curriculum. You will conduct your postmortems. You will update your failure resume. You will extract the lessons and integrate them into your systems. You will become anti-fragile, growing stronger and wiser with every setback. Your fear of failure will be replaced by a curiosity for what it can teach you. Your body is the vessel. The practice of fueling your engine with sleep, movement, and nutrition is not a temporary diet or a short-term fix. It is a lifelong commitment to treating your physical self with respect. It is the understanding that your physical health is the platform for your mental and emotional well-being. This is not about achieving some external standard of beauty or fitness. It is about the internal feeling of vitality and energy. It is about having the physical resources to show up for your own life with vigor and enthusiasm. This is a practice you will engage in every single day for the rest of your life. Your social circle is your ecosystem. The work of curating your circle is ongoing. People will come into and go out of your life. You will outgrow some relationships. You will discover new and inspiring connections. The practice of being a conscious gardener of your social life never ends. You will continue to maximize your time with your radiators, to set loving boundaries with your drains, and to be a radiator for others. You will understand that the health of your social ecosystem is a direct reflection of your own growth. So, if there is no finish line, how do we measure our progress? How do we know if we are on the right track? We must abandon the old metrics of comparison and external achievement. We must adopt a new internal set of metrics. The first and most important new metric is your own sense of inner peace. Are you more or less anxious than you were a year ago? Do you feel a greater sense of calm and control over your own inner world? A reduction in your baseline level of anxiety is one of the most powerful indicators that your new systems are working. The second new metric is your speed of recovery. You will still have bad days. You will still get knocked down. The new measure of success is not whether you get knocked down, but how quickly you get back up. A year ago, a single failure might have sent you into a week-long spiral of shame and inaction. Now perhaps you are able to recover in a day. You feel the disappointment, you learn the lesson, and you get back on your path. Your resilience, your bounce-back ability, is a direct measure of your growing strength. The third new metric is the quality of your self-talk. Listen to the voice in your own head. Is it kinder than it was last year? Is it more compassionate? Is it more encouraging? Have you replaced the voice of the harsh critic with the voice of a supportive coach? The relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship of your life. Improving the quality of that inner dialogue is one of the most profound forms of progress you can make. To anchor this new way of living, we need one final tool. A tool that keeps us grounded in the present moment and appreciative of the journey, not just the destination. This final tool is the practice of gratitude. Gratitude is the ultimate antidote to the feeling of being behind. It is a powerful reframing mechanism that shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. It is the conscious act of noticing the good that is already present in your life. In a world that is constantly telling you that you are not enough, gratitude is the radical act of declaring that you are. The practice of gratitude can be incredibly simple. The most effective method is to start a progress journal. This is a different kind of journal. It is not for venting or for long rambling entries. At the end of each day, you will write down just 3 things. One thing I did today to move forward. This could be your 1-degree shift. It could be the 5-minute walk you took, the one healthy meal you ate, or the difficult conversation you finally had. This practice trains your brain to recognize and celebrate your own efforts, no matter how small. It builds a chain of evidence that you are a person who shows up. One thing I learned today. This could be a lesson from a failure, an interesting idea from a book or a podcast, or a new insight about yourself. This reinforces your identity as a lifelong learner. It frames every day as an opportunity for growth. One thing I am grateful for right now. This can be anything, big or small. The taste of your morning coffee, a kind word from a colleague, the feeling of the sun on your skin, a moment of peace. This practice is a direct antidote to the comparison trap. Your brain cannot simultaneously focus on what is missing and what is present. By consciously choosing to focus on the good, you are rewiring your brain for happiness and contentment. This simple 3-prompt journal, done consistently, will transform your perspective. It will anchor you in the reality of your own progress and your own blessings. It will keep you focused on the path you are walking, not the imaginary finish line in the distance. We are at the end of our time together in this book, but we are at the very beginning of your ongoing journey. The work of getting your life together is not a project you complete. It is a practice you live. It is a dance. Some days you will feel graceful and fluid. Other days you will feel clumsy and out of sync. The goal is simply to stay on the dance floor. The goal is to keep listening to the music of your own life and to keep trying to move in a way that feels true to you. You are no longer lost in an unfamiliar city. You have the map, you have the compass, you have a powerful, reliable vehicle, and you know how to maintain it. You know how to read the weather and how to navigate the storms. You are the captain of your own ship. You are the architect of your own life. You are the gardener of your own soul. The feeling of being hopelessly behind is a ghost from a past life. You are not behind, you are not ahead. You are simply here, on your own path, walking at your own pace. And for the first time, you can look at the road ahead not with a sense of dread, but with a sense of quiet, hopeful curiosity. You are ready. If this journey has resonated with you, and you want to continue exploring ideas to build a more intentional life, then this is not the end of our conversation. Make sure you subscribe to the Audio Waves channel here on YouTube. We release new audio content like this every 3 to 4 days to help you on your journey. Click that subscribe button now, and let's keep building together.